Three, two, one. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Monday night of Late Night Comics with your host, the real DV, and his sidekick, Ash. How's it going, real DV?
It's going well. What you been up to?
Man, I've been up to eating some dinner, watching some Fire Force about at the end of season
Oh,
2. Really good anime. Really impressed with it, actually. Recommend it to those who like to delve into animes from time to time. Even if you're like you don't watch a lot of anime, I totally get it. I'm very picky. Try it out, especially if you like superhero stuff. It's like kind of a it's not like Marvel comic style superheroes, but the characters are essentially superheroes. Um, so and
speaking of good anime, I've been watching over on Netflix. I've been watching Demon Slayer.
oh yeah, yeah. My buddy's kid is really into Demon Slayer.
Wow, the main character is a really like Deku.
Oh really?
Uh, yeah, he cries and it's just like, but not as bad as Deku. Deku cries more, but like this kid is like, well, his he'll tiny minute spoiler. First episode, he comes back and finds his whole family slaughtered.
Oh, that's fantastic. Sounds very uplifting.
Yeah, but his sister's still alive, but she's a demon, so he has to like he from that day he's basically he has to find the demon that turned her that in hopes to try and turn her back into a human. And she helps him out.
Oh, I thought he would have to
Uh
slay her. I thought the
no no
show's
no.
called Demon Slayer, not Demon Helper.
Well, well he's the thing is that he joins the Demon Slayer ranks, which is a secret organization that not even the normies know about. And it
Mm.
takes place in the it's not feudal Japan, but it's like they just got trains and electricity, you know? So it's like late 1800s, I'd say. There's a Model T, so it's right around the area. It's but yeah. So and he's just making his way up the ranks of the Demon Slayer, with the help of his sister, who basically refuses to consume human blood. So instead, she sleeps. That's how she heals herself. But it's a fun story. You get to meet two other characters. They're kind of weird in their own ways, and it's just him. Like every time he like kills a demon, he feels regret because these people were once human. He feels so sad for them. He was so depressed, you
Mm.
know.
And there's a lot of
So it,
similarity sounding actually to Fire Force.
yeah,
Because in Fire Force they basically fight infernals, which are
yeah,
essentially demons. Just they just fake fire, and all the Fire Force characters are what are called they're called pyrokinetics, which means they
yeah,
control fire. And there's different levels. There's like first gen, second gen, and third gen. And I forget what the first gen are like really minor, but the second gen can like control fire. So if you're like familiar with Marvel Comics, that would be like Pyro from Marvel Comics, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutant. He can't make his own fire, but he can control it. And then the third gens can make fire, but they can't really control it too much. So there'd be more like Human Torch. He can like project those fire and do stuff, but he can't.
so
Anyways,
so
so
I was gonna say
they
I
have
was
because they
go ahead.
manipulate and have powers with fire. They're equipped to fight these infernals, which are these like fire demons, and they have a similar type of thing. Like when they kill them, they actually have to like have like a nun because there's like a church. There's a whole like
Mhm.
lore behind it, but like the holy church, they have to like rest their soul and like because they know they were once human. Infernals are people that
Yeah,
spontaneously
yeah.
combust. Anyways, fun series.
Like I said, like so there's very much a lot of similarities between Deku and this character. Like I said, it's there's like he knows 10 different forms for fighting styles using his sword, and he has different breathing techniques he learns, and so he's always constantly trying to upgrade, master a new skill, kind of like Deku in a sense. When he gets a new skill, he has to master it. He struggles with it. So there is character progression with this, as far as his skills and stuff. and then meeting other people who are like way above him and like striving to be among them, and then recognizing him. He's like, uh,
Nice.
but a lot of heart. 3 seasons right now are available on Netflix. You can watch it in English dub, or you can watch it in English dub. I believe on Netflix.
Cool.
And then
How is the
the
dub? Is it a good dub?
I actually like the dub. I like it's, to me, it reminds me of My Hero Academia, as far as
Yeah.
that's the dub.
Well, I mean,
It's a no.
unfortunately, not all animes are equal. Some of them get good dubs, and some of them get the like, oh, is this just a bunch of fans that got together?
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
No,
this is.
no. The Chris Sabat, I guess he's the one that does the voice for All Might. He's not in this
Mhm.
this English cast. I don't even know if it's Funimation. It might be. I don't
Hmm.
think it is. Zach would know. Zach was crazy about this show a couple years ago. I think it was a year ago or two ago. He was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, the new season just came out. He's like, I want to watch. I'm like, what are you watching? Because I'm like, I was watching My Hero Academia. I was like, watching this weird of the show. Like, So then I sat down. I was like, now I see.
Well,
Yeah,
Zach does
young
love demons.
grasshoppers learned. uh, yeah, dude. Zach says, I choose. He says, choose 9 out of 10, for dub. I do for times. The only one I switched really going from dub to original voice was Dragon Ball Super, because I got sick of the cast, the way they're treating the whole kick Vic thing and all that stuff.
Mm.
And seeing how Monica Ram, just seeing how vile they are. So I was like, in Chris Sharma, I was like, nah. And then plus, I didn't want to wait for the English dub Funimation one to come out, so I just watched it in the sub.
Yeah. I also
But
choose dub probably more than
good,
9 times out of 10, but I'll just say that.
yeah,
Just I used to be a real purist. I used to just be like,
yeah.
no,
Oh sure,
I want the original language, da 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 da. But when I realized how the Japanese like they do their audio anyway, they use I've said this before, but in case anyone new is listening, they use a technique called ADR, which is additional dialogue recording, meaning they do all the animation first and then they hire the voice talent to come in and read the
yeah,
lines over. Unlike Western animation like Disney or whatever, Pixar, they have the actors deliver their lines and then they animate to the actors. And so that
the
actually
lines up.
matters. It's more of like a live action, right? Like I don't really like dub on live action because I hate the whole mouth. It just comes across cheesy. Unless it's meant to be cheesy. Then I want it. Like Jackie Chan movies, I want it dubbed. Kung Fu Hustle or Shaolin Soccer is way better dubbed. I'm telling you, if you ever watch it just in the original Chinese, they're good
Yeah.
movies, but it's way funnier with the extra cheese. But back to my point with the Japanese dialogue, it's not a whole lot different because they're just talking over the thing anyway. Now the problem is when you get a bad cast of voice actors and they just aren't good voice actors, and that can ruin a good show. And
I
like I tell people, I'm almost done. A Attack on Titan, you got to watch that in the original. The voice, the English dub, I think ruins it.
Yeah, I gotta say, once I actually started watching Dragon Ball Super in the English subbed, the Japanese voice cast, oh my gosh, for Goku and all of them is like so much better
Yeah.
than
Well,
the actual
The
English dub.
Japanese take it real serious, you know.
Yeah,
So it's not.
uh,
I feel like a lot of times, especially in the early days of dubbing, I felt like a lot of times they were hiring like voice actors, and it was almost like the voice actors were embarrassed at the stuff they were doing, and it just kind of.
we got
But the
well, yeah, it's
Japanese
like
don't think of it. There's no stigma. It's like, oh, this is real art, you know, and they're like give it their all, and so you get it. And that's what gets me. I hate when I listen
well,
to a dub and I'm like, oh, these people just aren't into it, and they're just
uh,
hamming their
oh my gosh.
lines.
So the early Jackie Chan like get dubbed. Eventually Jackie Chan he started using his own voice where other people were dubbed. He was using
Yes.
his own English. Yeah. So, but before he started speaking English in his movies, the dub sounded like Sam Elliott or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah, it's
It'd be
terrible. No,
so
I don't
bad.
like those. I totally forgot that Jackie Chan once didn't dub himself. Like, but yeah, he
Yeah.
dubs himself.
Yeah.
It's so it's dude. If you for one of my favorite movies, especially in the kung fu movies, is what is it? What's this movie? The Bronx.
Yeah. I'm on the Bronx.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Yep.
he dubs himself in that movie. It's just hilarious. Anyways,
But
uh,
yeah, so I mean, I was gonna say about as far as voice actors go, I tend to follow voice actors the same way I follow writers, comics. I'll find a good voice actor, and I like the way he delivers his lines. Like I think his name is Crispin Freeman. I think is the guy. He's best known for what's it? I gotta look it up now. It's been a while since I watched it. It's has a character is a basically has a Full Metal Panic. That's what it is. Full Metal Panic.
I've
You
never
see him
watched
there.
it.
Sam
I
Miller's
don't. I
not
don't.
dead, you bastard.
I don't follow voice actors just because I don't
No,
think it's
but
possible for a voice actor to like elevate an anime that I wouldn't have previously liked to
well,
liking it.
there's
You know what I'm
I've
saying?
s-
Like, so I just kind of
it,
go with, do I like it? And if I do, I hope that they got good voice actors to do the
I
role.
s-
Like, but
I started noticing. Yeah, dude, I started noticing that this actor though, he's in a lot of the movies. I just randomly, I was at first I wasn't following him as far as
sure.
like oh he's in there, but then I like no matter which one I picked up, especially early 2000s, late 90s, this guy's in just about everything. Not maybe I could maybe Funimation just didn't have enough people.
Oh,
He was
the
like,
anime they recycle like there's like a crew of like
yeah, yeah,
of voice actors that get reused like so many animes. Like even in Fire Force, I'm recognizing multiple voices from My Hero Academia,
yeah,
and
yeah,
some from Fairy Tale. That I'm like, oh, I hear these voices in like many animes. Uh, and it's cool. Like I appreciate the when they're good. I just don't follow it because, like I said, it's not like you could say like, oh, this guy's like the best voice actor ever. But if the anime sucks or if it's not my cup of tea, his amazing voice acting isn't gonna like win me over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just hope
yeah.
that it's good voice acting, and then that's enough for me if the anime is good. Uh,
One of my old friends when I was in my teens going into 20s, he's like, it was like, why do you watch dub? Watch it's like watch it, and I kept telling him, he's like, well, I like being able to look to see what's going on the screen instead of just focusing on the words, seeing what the hell they're saying. Especially like when it comes to animes that are fast paced. Maybe with Dragon Ball Z you could because it's like I'm screaming for 30 minutes. Okay, it's the same in English as the same in Japanese. But
let's
but I mean
speaking
like
of English, let's welcome our fabulous uh audience
there-
that are listening
there's
tonight.
someone there's here.
Maranya
Oh,
is here first. Welcome,
you
Maranya.
said
Good.
you said English. I didn't even. She's not British.
She's English. She speaks
She's
English.
American. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
English is
we're descendant. Where do you think America came from? We're an English colony.
uh we're an alien colony. We're sent here by the aliens, and then
I
we
don't know. I don't know. Maybe what's going on in Wisconsin. I don't know how you got here, but um,
I ate a kill chip by accident.
I wanted to give special recognition. It's been a little while since Marania's been first, but she's always been best. So wait, I just felt like I gotta take a shower now. I just felt like I simped. Ugh, damn it. Now I know how
You
Zach
didn't
feels.
wait. You haven't seen from Ronnie until you bought an Iron Man book. It's sent to her from the auction.
Speaking of Zach, Zach is second, and he claims to be the worst. Zach, you're not the worst. I gotta I gotta simp for Zach
Yeah.
now. Tehillim is rounding third. He says, "Good to see you all." And Rhaegar is here. He says he identifies as first. And if you deny me, I'm literally shaking. Oh man. And then there's Evil Black Cat, who should be saying the witty things that Rhaegar is saying, but he's must be tired today. Um, we got a comic book frog in the chat, and Rhaegar says he paused his conservative indoctrination podcast so that he could be here. Thank you, Rhaegar. Appreciate that.
Yes.
All hail DeSantis. Is that how it goes? Kyle? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? No, I forget. Um,
No. No.
Zach says, "Look at Hash watching some good anime." I'll have you know, Zach, I only watch good anime. That's why I don't watch very much of it. Um, Zach says Demon Slayer is choice. I already commented. Zach does love his demons. he needs Jesus. We need to help him with that. Zach, we're gonna have an intervention one of these days. HR Goes Vocal is here. So welcome, HR. Good to see you. Um, let's see.
It seems HR goes vocal, but he's very vocal. He's not really vocal that much.
He doesn't. He's not that vocal.
He does one line, like one thing on the stream chat, like, and he just kind of walks away.
um, Iceman's the most flaming of the bunch. Says Evil Cat. Touche. There you go. There's the wit we expect from the Black Cat. We already talked about the dubbing, and let's see. Rhaegar says Zach has 50-50 good taste and stuff. I didn't say that. That was Rhaegar. You two fight it out to the death.
50-50 does not taste great at all.
Let's see. 50-50s are great, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, gross.
Orange and cream? Oh, man. There's like
Orange
poison.
cream?
Oh.
That just feels weird.
Oh, my goodness. What are they doing to you up there in Wisconsin?
Giving us better stuff called root beer.
Rhaegar says, my whole process on anime is like, English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Nice. Let's see. What about Kung Pao dubbed? Sure. I don't even remember Kung Pao. I didn't think it was that good. I wanted to like Kung Pao, but I'm probably committing heresy to someone right now. I
Kung
didn't
Pao
like.
chicken?
No, Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
I can't remember. I barely remember Kung Fu Hustle. And Shaolin. I know
Kung
Shaolin
Fu.
Soccer. Shaolin Soccer was a better one.
You think so? I think I like Kung
I
Fu
think
Hustle
so.
better, but they're both fun. They're good. Let's see. Rhaegar says
But
most people I know watch Attack on Titan in English and like it. I don't think it's impossible to like it in English. I mean, it's still the same show. I think it might be a case of I saw it first in Japanese. It was on Netflix originally, and they only had the Japanese version. This was several years back, and it was, all the hotness when Attack on Titan was like the biggest anime, and I was like, I gotta check this out, and so I watched like the first like 2 episodes, and I was like, damn, this is an intense, holy crap, and I was like, I gotta put it aside though because one of the bad things about watching a dub is it requires a lot more of your direct attention because you have to read the subtitles and so forth. And it's not something that you can sort of just watch kind of casually, which I do watch something. So I was like, I want to give this my 100% full attention. So I kind of put it off to the side. And then I guess like a dub version came out and I was like, oh, hey, cool, a dub version. I'm going to put that on. And I was like, oh, this is not the same. This is like where it had all the like hard drama and like the pain and the anguish of like this kid who loses his family and like all this. In the English version, it just felt really light and kind of like, oh, I was like, oh, you just lost so much of the emotion. So I think it was a case if I didn't know what I was missing, if I had only seen the English, and so I didn't go, I was like, oh, this is how it is, I guess. I might have been okay with it, but I knew what I was missing, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing this.
I would say that Shaolin Soccer is a lot better than Crouch Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
All right. And every
You
once in a
don't.
while, Zach is not
You don't.
have the hottest takes on the planet. You
disagree
give
with
him a
me?
run for his
Wow.
money. Dude, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon's like one of the best kung fu movies ever
people on
made.
strings.
Yeah, this is.
It's dancing in the air.
It's wuxia. Like it's a whole genre of film. Like yeah. I mean,
You should watch Street Fighter starring Sonny Chiba.
did you not like The Matrix? Oh man, I don't even know you now. Come on, you don't like The Matrix?
I don't know you. All right, good night, guys.
Man, oh, I love Crouching Tiger. They're way different movies. Crouching Tiger is like a total. It's like it's serious drama, part tragedy, part love story. Like Shaolin Soccer is funny. Like it's like comparing Robin Hood Men in Tights to Robin Hood, like, or Spaceballs to Star Wars. Like they both have their value, but I think they play on different notes.
I'd rather watch you know, Bruce Lee movie than or any character where they're not doing the jump around on the wires. I'm going to actually watch a straight up, hand to hand combat.
Oh, man, Wuxia, good Wuxia is awesome, and Crouching Tiger is one of those. But I could see it wouldn't be your cup of tea. It was a very artsy film, so, and that doesn't seem to be the kind of stuff
There
you're into.
are a lot of, well, I'm talking about real martial arts, not the wire stuff. I don't consider that martial arts.
I got news for you. All kung fu movies or all martial art films aren't real martial arts. Like every Jackie Chan movie, I mean, he comes from a dance troupe. He's not a real martial artist.
I'm not talking about Jackie Chan. Look up
Okay,
Sonny Chiba, dude. Sonny Chiba's awesome.
Sonny Chiba's cool, but his stuff's, I don't know if I really even consider him those martial art films more just, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I mean it's eh, here's how I look at like Wuxia films, which like Crouching Tiger is one of them with the wire fu and stuff. It's not pretending to be like real fighting
He's
any more than like an MCU film is pretending to be, right?
I love it. You just gave me a new term for it. Wire fu.
Oh, you haven't heard wire fu before?
Never known anybody call it that. I call it waifu.
Oh no, yeah, no, wire fu is that's the term. The Chinese call it wuxia, and it's like a genre all into itself. Um,
I
let's
heard that Joe
see,
Biden's gonna start on one of these soon.
that would be hilarious. I would totally watch that. Rhaegar says Kung Pao better than Kung Fu Hustle. Rhaegar, if you're going to be a critic of mine, you need to quit undermining your taste because when you make fun of the things I like and you say things like this, it just you lose all your credibility. So come on, man.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is a very good martial arts movie. So is the Korra one.
You
That was a
see
good martial
now you're
arts.
just trolling. Korra is such trash. Uh, good to see RDV's carrying the torch of hot takes. Yeah, Zach, you need to up your game, man. He dunked on you tonight. Um, let's see. I'm not even gonna address his silly Avatar Smurf comparison. Um, all right. Rhaegar says, I've heard of waifu, not waifu. It's gross. Gross. I don't now I'm imagining that he's got some sort of anime body pillow. And I've got the heebie jeebies. Ronnie says
As
when I
long as
hear
he
Kung
cleans
Pao, I
it.
get hungry. Yeah, me too. Get some Kung Pao chicken. Um, all
As
right,
long as
cool.
as long as he clean, hey, he can have a body pillow as much. As long as he cleans it. The guys who don't clean it, yeah.
No, no.
I mean, I have a body pillow of Joe Biden. You gonna judge me on that too?
It depends on what you're using it for.
Sleeping with. Okay, obviously.
I mean,
Jeez.
if you just like at night and like you like strangle it, in to like relieve stress.
I sit there and I stroke the pillow. Like, good job.
Yeah, I mean,
You did a good
if
job.
you spoon it, then that's a little creepy. But,
It spoons me.
if you're like strangling it and punching it to relieve your aggression, then
I'm the little spoon, the body pillow, Joe.
Oh,
It's the big
oh
spoon.
no, not gross. Save me, please. Zach says he's not in any hurry to win his crown back. I think he just threw down the gauntlet because Zach knows he's going to have that crown back without even trying. That's how hot his takes are. He doesn't even try, and he does. I want more sushi from the place I went for my birthday, says Ethereal Dragon. Welcome, Ethereal Dragon. I would like more sushi too. I don't know where you went for your birthday. I don't even know how long ago it was. If it was recent, happy birthday. Um, I love sushi. Um, all
If you
right.
push a
Speaking.
button on the pillow, it makes a sniffing noise
Gross. Gross. Ugh. I need a shower.
with the pillow.
No, not with a no pillow, please.
It's a no pillow, not my pillow. No pillow.
Uh, okay. I was thinking about today. Today's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. Hopefully, you remembered.
Boo. Hopefully you bought
uh,
your meat and all your other food before the today because they jacked the prices up on Memorial Day. I've noticed
hopefully.
that.
Oh, of course, of course. It's capitalism. Did you tell a service person that you thank you for their service? It's become the like most cliche thing you can do as an American these days.
I told it to my brother, and then I also told him to get a cab next time. I'm not picking him up from the airport. It's the third time in like 3 months, man.
Wow, that's that's
He
that's
he
honoring
goes up.
service members. When they're even your brother, you won't pick them up from the airport.
I did
Screw
pick
you
him
for your
up.
service and for being my
He
brother.
he he's living down here. He's living up here again, but then he fly on the weekends he is off. He flies down to Florida to be with his girlfriend, and that. So I have to drop him off on a Friday, and pick him up on a Monday.
Man, must be so tough.
I mean, there's a bus line. He technically can take the
How do you
bus and just.
endure? Man,
How do I endure?
someone who doesn't have
Uh,
someone who doesn't have a brother. I just shake my head that you take yours for granted.
$20. I'll even go the lowest $5.
Okay, so anyways, and the other thing that Memorial Day is known for is movies. This is Memorial Day weekend is typically in the old days when the movie season would really start, because Hollywood would release all their junk films earlier, and they usually all the bad films before May. And now is the time where like, oh, they're serious. Like these are the good films. They want to make the most money. And so Memorial Day weekend, um, we didn't have any big Memorial Day weekend releases, but I got to thinking, I was like, what what are the movies that we're most looking forward to in 2023? So I pulled up a list here of I am on IMDb of the most anticipated movies of 2023 because I know sometimes it's hard to remember everything that's coming out. Some of these obviously have come out already because this actually has been a pretty good year for like winter and early spring movies. Usually they're pretty terrible, but I thought we'd be fun to talk about what movies we're looking forward to the most that are supposed to be coming out this
uh,
year.
I was gonna tell you right now, it's looking at what's actually out playing right now is isn't that much. Fast and Furious is out. The new one. Guardians, it was still playing. So is Super Mario Brothers. Hypnotic, Ben Affleck. And then Little Mermaid came out this week, and then you had so they called The Machine. I've never heard of it. Yeah, but Kandar is one I'm looking forward to. Actually, it just came out. That's the new Gerard Butler movie. Heard of this one?
I have not heard of it. Um,
It
tell
just came
tell me
out as
about it.
radar. CIA operative and his translator flee from special forces in Afghanistan after exposing a covert mission. It
Mm,
stars Gerard Butler and David David Negaban and then Ali Fazell. I never even heard of these people, other than the two Gerard Butlers are listed for some reason, and this is starring. So it's another I like it's if you haven't seen The Covenant, I recommend go watching that really awesome movie. This looks like the low budget version of The Covenant.
yeah, I'm looking forward to The Covenant. I love Guy Ritchie, and so
Yeah, it's out
I
on
know he's kind of hit or miss. So I'm always like, oh, I
Oh,
cringe a little
dude,
bit when he's got a new movie coming out, and then when people go, "Oh no, it's good," I'm like, "Oh yeah, sweet."
I think it's already out for rent on Vudu.
Yeah, it's one of
It's
those
been
movies that are like you can. That's like the new thing since COVID is you can. Uh, a lot of movies you can just basically pay to. It's like $30, but you can watch it at home instead of going to the
so.
theater.
Rob and I actually reviewed this. We both watched it. It is a phenomenal movie. It's probably one of the best movies I've seen Guy Ritchie in a while.
Oh, that's
I
great.
hold it up there. I hold that up there with Black Hawk Down and Men of Valor.
Really,
Uh, yeah, in
that's
13
high. That's
hours.
high praise. Black Hawk Down is one of my favorite war films of all time.
I'd still say Black Hawk Down's a little better, but I mean, yeah, it's up there with Saving Private Ryan.
Oof. That
Um,
that might be the best war movie of all time. um,
I trust me. I was just thinking. I was like, what category I reckon is? I mean, obviously, if you watch 13 Hours,
oh yeah,
uh, really good
I've,
movie,
and I've read the book.
and this is pretty much. I'll just say this: this movie felt like it's pretty much it's a guy who's a British producer director and talking about because it deals with basically 9/11 or not 9/11, but it deals with after we pulled out of Afghanistan, obviously the Covenant, and it basically this movie openly criticizes like Joe Biden how he effed it up and left people behind and stuff. So that's another reason why I really like it too. It's like it actually tells you like it's not a Hollywood make. It's actually like legit, And in the end the credits they do show you the real American soldiers with their translators and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's really heartfelt, really and really like kind of like just tells you like everything that's going on and just reminds you how badly like Joe Biden is the president. But over and all, Jake Gyllenhaal played his role to the T, man. He is believable in this in his role. Uh, Same with you got guy who plays Homelander shows up
Mm.
as as um I'm trying to do. He's a contractor, basically. Like he goes, like if you need stuff, they're like he has his own a group of guys who'll go and help you out. And yeah, definitely one of my favorite movies of the year so far. That's not as science fiction or superhero stuff. But
Cool, cool.
yeah,
So, do you like if you had to name like what your top three movies you haven't seen yet, that are coming out in 2023, top
if we
three
need a
that you're
theater.
most looking forward to, and yeah, like theatrical releases.
Oh, okay, so I can't choose Extraction 2. Damn it.
No, but you can give it an honorable mention.
Yeah, it is. It's coming to Netflix
I,
June 16th.
I'm really looking forward to Extraction. You guys, if you haven't seen Extraction, go. If you like action movies, Extraction is one of the best, like classical kind of style, like Die Hard. Those old school kind of like just action hero kind of movies. See this film. The videography, like the camera work, is astonishing in some of these scenes. It's a well done film. It's done by the Russo brothers. Um, I don't know why they don't make a bigger deal out of this. Like, anyways, but yeah, I recommend. I'm
All
looking forward
right,
to the sequel.
trying to you want a top three.
Top three.
Looking through, man, there's some really bangers coming out. At least four of them I see coming up all the way to August. All right, top three. My number three movie
Mm-hmm.
is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. That comes out August.
Really, I haven't even heard of this.
This is Dracula on a boat, basically going and killing people one by one.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
kind of cool.
so it's a foreign flick. Yeah, so not really. There's no, and it's no known big known actors. At least with me, I've never seen heard of them. It's a foreign a biopic. It
Oh,
looks really cool, and it takes place on in the middle of the ocean, crossing, and it looks cool.
that one didn't
Um,
even make that. That didn't even make this list on IMDb.
yeah,
Huh.
I'm using
Oh,
MovieWeb.com. That's
you can
why.
use whatever you want. I mean, these are your movies. I was
Yeah.
just
So
um.
number two movie I'm looking forward to this year: Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So 2
Mm.
seconds. Really loving the fact they introduced that 616. It's 616. No matter what freaking Nick Lowe says, he's an idiot. It's Mayday Parker. And yeah, it looks awesome. It basically giving us what we want in the comic book, so we can't get. Ironically, the video games and the Sony verse here is giving us a better Peter Parker than the freaking comics. Even the MCU is giving us a better Peter Parker.
I'm
Sad.
skeptical because the first Spider-Verse movie shit all over Peter Parker. So
Yeah, but like this one, it's Miles centric. But still, this we already seen that Peter Parker. He was in a dump. MJ had broken up with him, and he was basically now we see in the trailers he come back, and he's basically him and MJ reconciled. They got married, and they have a kid, and he has May with him. Like obviously, so
we'll see. I mean,
for
I'll see what they do with the next
yeah.
one,
Um,
but
so my number one pick of the year,
is
it should be
Marvels,
it should be
right? It's got your girl, little
actually it's
Pakistani
Barbie. What
girl.
the hell are you talking about? It's Barbie, bro.
Man, what? Kamala Khan.
My number one pick. If you guys don't have this as your number one pick of the year, I mean, yeah, sure you like Dune, but compared to this movie, and it's one actor everybody likes to shit on, despite the fact that every single freaking movie he makes is banger, and the guy is pushing 60. You'd say it's almost impossible for this guy to make a bad movie. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. That's my number one movie of the year.
At least you got
I'm looking forward
one
to.
movie in your list of 3 that's in my list.
Like as I said on eStream, Oppenheimer's gonna bomb. It's gonna be a
Hmm.
good movie, but it's gonna bomb ratings. I don't think it's gonna do as well. It's a drama. Nobody really cares about World War II,
Hmm.
except for the old people.
Pretty much like all of Christopher Nolan's movies that never bomb.
This one
I
will
don't know if you
bomb.
know about this guy Christopher Nolan. He seems to just make movies that people
But
love.
honestly, though, I think this one will bomb. The fact that it is about a bomb is gonna be ironic.
You know,
Yeah,
I remember once upon a time a really great filmmaker decided to make this movie about a sinking ship. And I thought very much like you did. I was like, "Oh man,
I
he
remember
makes
the Philadelphia
nothing but
experiment.
bangers, but what is he doing making a movie about this sinking ship? This is going to be his first bomb." And then it went on to be the number one film of all time for
Well,
over a decade by a wide margin. So I was
I
way
remember.
wrong. Hopefully, well, I don't know. I don't know. I do want you to be wrong because I want Oppenheimer to be good. So if it is good, I hope it really
So
succeeds.
Oppenheimer comes out at the end of July, and then that first week of July, August is gonna be actually this no, but first week of August is the Meg 2, followed by Ninja Turtles, and then the next following week will be the last Voyage of the Demeter. So I think it would do well, but if it gets pushed to another date, because I don't think it'll do as well because it's going up against what Mission Impossible the week before it. It's also going against Barbie. It's also got the Haunted Mansion. So I hope like I said, I hope it does well. But it'd be hilarious if this movie bombs, despite being a good movie, and the fact it's about a bomb. It's like literally, if it bombs, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket.
All right. Let's see what the audience is talking about here. I'm trying to figure out where this all started. Um, let's see. Ethereal says Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the only MCU movie he wants to see. Rhaegar says Dune 2, Mission Impossible, and also The Flash.
Yeah. And Zach, I appreciate it, right? Because it's despite that back then everybody loved that. I'm saying today's generation, younger, I don't think they know world history. Obviously, with what they've been. You were homeschooled, bro. There's a lot of stuff that I wasn't taught. Do you think they're really teaching you stuff? If anything, they're teaching everybody that we're fascists.
Well,
So
sometimes knowing the story already doesn't ruin the story, right? Like you can know about history and still like watch a movie about it. Like I would, for example, I would love for someone to make another movie on the Battle of Britain. I think it's such a fascinating story. It's one of my favorite stories of World War II. It's
uh,
it's one of these unbelievable events in world history that's kind of like 300 where like the few defeat the many against impossible odds, and it's just this great story. I know the story, but I just would love to see a really well executed telling of it. So just all I'm trying to say is just because you know the events doesn't rule out them, making an entertaining film of it. And also, if you don't know the events, sometimes that's also fun too to be like, oh, I never knew. But you shouldn't really watch movies for history anyway, because a lot of times they take liberties, and then if you go, oh, this is what it was, and you go, no, that's not exactly how it was, and then your view of history is
uh,
skewed because you watch the fiction. It's like,
the
well, like
last the
like
last one.
Netflix, they teach you that Cleopatra was black.
Honestly, there is hope because the last one was the 2017 was Dunkirk, and and that was about World War II. Actually, no, was that World War II or World War One?
Yeah, that was another
It was
great event
yeah.
of world of well, human history and war. Yeah, also Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan film, by the way. Um,
So I
but
said
yeah,
hopefully yes, but I look at how the way today's generation don't even like you go like when you watch these guys go up there like and they interview people, they don't know their history, U.S. history.
oh yeah,
I wonder how many people actually care about World War II, or they won't, or they don't want to watch it, or the movies about they find it boring. So,
yeah.
like I said, hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope that it does do well, but I think it might be not as sound good. It might have a cult following if it's really good.
I just think that good storytelling always prevails. Even if you know a story, if someone can tell the story in a very excellent manner, you'll just enjoy it anyway. You like I've heard the story, but the way you tell it is so good. Like I just was happy to hear it again. So, um,
Walkenheimer.
and I don't know. I know who Oppenheimer was. I don't know the details. So I think like I know the basics. So I think this movie's gonna flesh out some of the things. But I just love Christopher Nolan's filmmaking. I just I'm just glued to his films. Um,
Yeah.
let's see.
Uh, Well, it's
Uh,
the other thing is that the other World War II movies are action movies with drama. This takes place all in like United States, where they developed the
yeah,
bomb.
this isn't
It
a war
doesn't.
movie. I mean, it takes
Not
place during
So
when the war was happening, but not.
yeah. So I
Um,
don't like I said it may not do as well.
it
So
might not. Like I said, I thought no way in hell people wanted to see a movie about the Titanic. Everyone knows how. I mean, that's the joke
Sh-
even to this day. People are like, "Oh yeah,
look
I
like
knew how
it
it was
like
going to end." It's
Schindler's
like,
Schindler's Schindler's List is an amazing movie.
yep.
Does it have the same draw as it did back then today?
I think everyone that's had
Everybody's
any
seen it, yes. We're
everyone
older,
that's had any
yes.
interest in seeing it has already seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I think
Schindler's List coming out today versus back then.
a lot of people are going to see Oppenheimer because it's got Christopher Nolan's name attached to it,
Yeah.
right? I think there's going to be a
Well,
lot of people that go, I don't know
well, it's
about
Matt
this
Damon. That's
movie,
why.
but it's made by this guy who I like all of his other movies, so maybe I should give this a chance. There's some credibility behind it. Sometimes they can get people to challenge their
Black
comfort
Cat,
zone.
Black Cat, and Braveheart is now Scottish history. The actual stuff is now retconned because of that movie.
Let me get through the our audience things here because they were saying that Rhaegar says the MCU is almost as dead
Yeah.
to him as Star Wars is. He may decide to see Guardians of the Galaxy this week out of curiosity. Rhaegar, if you like the first two Guardians, you need to see the third. Um, I'm in agreement with Zach. It might be my favorite Guardians film as well. It's really well done. It does not lean into the rest of the MCU. So it's definitely one of those films like you can appreciate it and just sort of compartmentalize it, um, and not think about the rest of the MCU. James Gunn just did a really good job. It's not a perfect film, but it's got all sorts of heart, great characterization. Every character gets an arc pretty much. He manages this ensemble cast just super well. It's like a clinic on how to tell ensemble cast stories. I could praise this movie all night, but um, let's see.
You know, it's
Hold on, let me try to get through this list. Pardon me. Zach says the Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, the Hemsworth movie. Yes, that is the one, Chris Hemsworth movie. Um, reminder: Russo brothers also did Avengers Endgame. That is true. Extraction is much more Winter Soldier than Endgame. So if you like Winter Soldier, think of those Russo brothers. So Zach says Dune Part 2, Oppenheimer, and Mission Impossible. Honorary shout out to Spider Verse. Um, sometimes Zach is right on the money. Um, let's see. Marvel's is going to be like the Citizen King.
but the problem is that Zach's inconsistent because when I mentioned Meg 2, he's like, oh, I'm changing my list.
Never mind.
So
Zach said, dude just praised Saving Private Ryan and then said nobody cares about World War II. No, he's talking about today, Zach. He's trying to say
yeah,
that, like in the 90s, there was a lot more interest, but in 2023, the Generation Z is not into the World War II the way our generations were. I think
Gen
that's what.
Z is like TikTok good.
Yeah.
Other
It's like, oh, Grandpa war movie, boo. Yeah, I think
that
that's
was
what you were
so
saying.
long ago, dude. No one cares.
Right.
Didn't even happen. What are you talking about?
Let's
Something
see.
hologram cost? What? Yeah.
Let's see. Haunted Mansion's gonna bomb, probably. Sinking Ship is his worst film up until he tried to copy Ferngully. That's a really bad troll. Black Cat, we expect better from you. Go get some lunch. Um, World
Children of
War
the
II
70s.
is not only
Let's see.
taught to homeschool kids. Are you sure about that, Rhaegar? Have you seen our public school system?
I
Um,
know, right?
Braveheart is now Scottish history. The action stuff is now retconned. Yeah, I think you already commented on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, I think I got everyone's comment. So I'm gonna give mine. We already know our Venn diagram crossed with one movie that was Mission Impossible. That is my number 3. Mission Impossible is my number 3 most anticipated film of 2023. My number
Uh,
2 is Oppenheimer. I am a massive Christopher Nolan stan, only slightly behind James Cameron, but I do love Christopher Nolan films. Um, I if he makes a movie about shit on a stick, I'll go see it. Like Christopher Nolan is just one of those type of filmmakers. I don't even have to know what the movie's about. It's like, oh, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. I say, okay, I'll go see it. I don't care what it is. Um, and then my number 1 is the movie you mocked a little bit, and that is Dune Part 2.
that's something now I want to point out. Dune Part 2. Children of the 70s. Thank God they did they retconned or redid it and made it better with the last one. So people are excited that. Gen Z. Ooh, look, Five Nights at Freddy's is gonna be a movie October. Let's go watch that. A week later, it's like,
um, yeah, I
um,
mean, I liked the original Dune movie by David Lynch. It's a very flawed
but
film. In fact, I used to hate
Dune.
the movie. Then I read the book, fell in love with the book. It's easily in my top 3 sci-fi books I've ever read. I love Dune. Went back and saw the movie again out of curiosity because I was like, man, because I thought I was gonna hate the book. I had to read the book; it's actually required for school. And I was like, oh, I've seen this. The movie is so stupid. I want to read this book. And I read it and I fell in love with it. So I went back and watched the movie, and I was like, wow, this movie's a lot better than I remember. And that's because having read the book, I actually understood the movie this time. I don't think you can watch the original Dune and not have read the book and understand anything that's going on. It's so chopped up. Like the book, the book explains all these things that are off camera in the movie. And so I went and saw the movie. It was just a visualization of what I was remembering from the book. So, anyways, but that being said, Denis Villeneuve, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Villeneuve
So
is one of the best filmmakers working today. His last 4 films have been like, if not a masterpiece, like excellence. Blade Runner
you know,
2049 is one of the most underrated films in my generation. It was so good, and no one went and saw it. That sucks, but I think it's actually better than Blade Runner. If you haven't seen Arrival, one of the best sci-fi films I've ever seen, and
with
then
Charlie Sheen.
no, not The Arrival. This one you're thinking of. That's actually a fun movie. I do recommend that movie. That was a fun movie.
The knees bent backwards.
Just plain old Arrival. It's a very cerebral sci-fi. May not be up your cup of tea, but it's a really good film. Sicario, fantastic.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, it's Danny Villeneuve I'm I think he's becoming one of the great filmmakers. Like he's like the next big, for me at least. And what he did with
So
the first part of Dune, I was like, first of all, Dune as a is just such an impossible movie. Like you read the book, you're like, how do you make this into a movie? It's like it's just one of those unfilmable movies. Like they used to think Lord of the Rings were, until Peter Jackson's like, if you give me 3 movies, I can do
I
it. Um, Dune is like that, and he made it half the book, and he made it good. So I'm like, dude, if you can make half of Dune this good, imagine what you're gonna be able to do when you be able to tell the whole story. So I'm super
I mean,
excited.
I'm excited because part 2, man, how they got top Carl Urban versus The Rock. Um, I'm excited.
Is The Rock in it?
Yeah, and Doom.
He's not. The Rock's not in it.
Yeah, Carl Urban. He goes full first player shooter at the end, going against The Rock.
What are you talking about?
Dune.
Are you trying to make some sort of joke?
He uses the BFG at the end. They're on
I'm
Mars.
not. I'm not even getting this joke. Could someone in the
They even
audience
made
help
it.
me?
They even made a video game about it.
What? Oh, I haven't seen this movie, so that's why I didn't catch on right away. You're talking about Doom. Okay, thanks, Zach. I was like, I know there's a joke in here somewhere, and I'm missing the catch.
You're getting old and you can't
Yeah.
find the
Well,
jokes.
I didn't put Doom. It took me a second. I was like, oh, Doom. I was like, my brain was going through the roster of like movies that The Rock was in, and I was like, he's not in this, is he? What? Um. Anyways,
You,
yeah.
you, you haven't watched Doom with
Oh, that looks so
The
terrible.
Rock?
That's
Oh
so
my god,
terrible looking.
it was so much fun.
Oh, I'll take your word for it.
It is it's a popcorn movie, bro. That's what it is. You just sit back and just enjoy it.
It's a burnt popcorn movie, and no one should expose themselves to burnt popcorn. Um,
Carter Urban,
even
is
Zach says it's awful, and Zach,
well,
his
Zach has off
bar
taste,
is
so
so low, and if Zach couldn't stomach it, then come on.
well, there was a black guy in there, so that's where it's acting like it.
Oh, there's a black guy in it. Who's black?
Yeah, he gets killed.
Oh, well then Zach should have loved it.
I think Zach walked out before that part.
Oh. If you can't catch the joke, you are the joke, says Evil Black Cat. All right. That's time to end this bit and move on. Thank you guys for participating and giving us your opinions. Rhaegar confirms my belief. He says, I like Blade Runner 2090. He agrees. Zach says Arrival did have Amy Adams. It did. And she was good in it. And there you go.
Rosamund Pike is in there, plays his sister.
Speaking
That's back.
of,
Yeah.
just this is entered my mind. Forgive me. Speaking of movies and all-time great filmmakers and other actresses that I forget about, apparently, Alita Battle Angel sequel is not dead. Apparently, James Cameron is working hard to try to get the sequel greenlit. And
Little
so
Bad Jiggle. I'm Not Dead. Part 2.
I really liked Alita Battle Angel, despite the fact that it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who I used to be extremely hot on back in the day when he became a thing, and then I realized that he's not actually that great of a filmmaker. But Alita Battle Angel was a pretty good film. And the one biggest flaw about that film is it clearly the way it ends is like the first part of a trilogy. It's like, oh, there's not an actual real ending here. It's more of like a to be continued, and you're never going to continue it, so it makes the movie kind of flawed in that way. But I'm now real excited because apparently Cameron wants to see it made. And if there's anyone that can get a film greenlit, I think it's going to be James. 3 of the top 4 films ever made are made by me, so I can do anything I want. So, yes, James MF
That's what they said
Cameron.
at She-Hulk when they were making that show. I could do what I want.
Dude, James Cameron can make She-Hulk good. Rhaegar says The Rock is also black. What? What are you talking about?
I honestly, you could take Helen Keller and she could make the She-Hulk better than the crap that we got out.
I admit I would watch a Helen Keller She-Hulk.
She hulks out, and then she can finally see and hear. He's like, "Oh, what the hell?"
Oh, let's. You want to talk about comics?
I was going to ask you something about the movies coming out.
Oh, okay.
I thought there's a third. I guess there was only 2. What do you think is going to be worse out of these 2 movies?
What?
These 2 movies are coming out.
Which ones?
Which is going to be worse?
All right. Let's hear them.
Kraven the Hunter or Meg 2 The Trench?
Kraven the Hunter.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I heard it got a rated R rating.
Okay. So it's going to be shitty and it's going to have violence and sex?
With animals?
I have no idea. Like,
I don't know.
Our rating does not signify to me like any quality aspect, especially for comic book movies. Actually, if you say like, "Oh, we're going for the R rating comic book movie," I go, "That's probably not a good thing."
They're gonna have the Rhino is actually gonna be a character too, and also Russell Crowe join the cast.
If Russell Crowe was Kraven, that might be better. Yeah, I mean, just the premise that they're going for. Number 1. We've talked about this before with Venom. Kraven, like Venom, is a Spider-Man villain. Like, Kraven exists to be in a story with Spider-Man. At the very least. I guess you could possibly make like a Daredevil movie with Kraven. But my point is, he's not the main character in the story. Like, so why are you making a movie about him? It'd be different if you had just done a really great Spider-Man movie with Kraven and then you wanted to do some sort of spin-off and say, here, we're going to tell his origin. And people were like, we're into this character. We want to know more. But no one even knows this character. You're going to introduce him. Now, that right there alone, that alone is a bad premise. Then you go, so what are you going to do? Oh, no, we're actually making Kraven like a PETA guy. He defends animals. He's like,
yeah.
I'm like, what? He's Kraven the Hunter, not the PETA terrorist. Like, what?
He's Sergey Doc McStuffins.
This sounds such
his
hot garbage written all over it.
Russell Crowe is going to play his father, Nikolai Kravenov. With the rest of the cast, you're going to have Ariana DeBose playing Calypso. You're going to have Chameleon in here as well. So we'll see how
more Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man. Like, the premise of this sounds so terrible. The fact that they're going forward with it tells me that the people making this movie don't have any taste. They don't have any wits about them about what they should be doing. Add to the fact on top of everything that I just said that this is going to be a Sony Pictures movie, and Sony Pictures has shown over and over and over and over and over that when they don't have Sam Raimi in direct control of making the movie, meaning Spider-Man 3 doesn't count, all they do is make bad super movies. Like they just shit all over the
Well,
property. They don't know what they're doing.
here's Zach's hot take. Zach does not like Russell Crowe.
Well, but
He said no one in the cast makes it an interesting movie.
with that, I agree with. I don't believe in actors are just, to me, they're trained monkeys. Actors, I don't see a movie because an actor's in it. I have actors that I like. I think Russell Crowe is a great actor, and if he's cast appropriately, I like his movies. But I'm not going to go see a movie just because Russell Crowe is in it. Like a bad movie with my favorite actor is still going to be a bad movie.
You didn't see that one movie he just did a couple years ago, where he was the road rage one?
Mm-mm. I haven't seen
I think it was called Unhinged.
Mm-mm. No, I haven't. I think, yeah, Russell Crowe hasn't made a movie that's looked interesting to me in quite some time. But in his heyday, like the Gladiator era, he's great in Gladiator. The Insider's one of my favorite movies. He's fantastic in The Insider. There was like a stint of time where he was just on fire. When he is, that's getting nominated for Best Actor like every year, and then something happened. Like he stopped caring about his work, I think.
Well, Russell Crowe is not the same caliber as he was years ago. Says Zach.
I think he's not been. I think he has it in him if he wanted to. I think if he got in a good movie with a good
I,
director that he was passionate about, I think he could bring the goods. I
he
think he's
phones it
just
in.
phoning it in.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he does. But he's still he could pull out an Oscar winning. Well, who gives a shit about winning Oscars? But you know what I mean. He could pull
Yeah,
out
I know what you
also
mean. Yeah.
performs. Yeah. But
And
Unhinged
no,
though,
I did not
he
see
plays a
Unhinged.
Unhinged. He plays after a single mother with her kid in the back of the car. He gets in. He's basically another driver. She flips a finger to him or whatever, or honks a horn, and he just stalks her, tries to get revenge on her. He's just like a crazy person. Pretty good.
Is it worth seeing? Is it a good movie?
Rob liked it. I haven't had a chance. I watched
Oh,
like a little bit of it. Rob liked it though.
Yeah, Rob liking it's not. That's not a good barometer. Zach says Russell Crowe was in the Mummy remake, and that was terrible. Tom Cruise was also in that movie. Good actors get cast in bad films all the time, and that's a really good point that you bring up, Zach. Because we're going to bring this back full circle. Because when you were talking about your number one pick, you talked about that Tom Cruise, all he does is make good movies. I think Zach just called you out a little bit here. Tom Cruise is fallible.
Tom Cruise didn't make the Mummy movie though.
Well, he doesn't make any of the movies. He's an actor.
It's impossible. He has full control of that.
He doesn't have full control. He's one of the producers, but he doesn't have full control. He hires people, sure, but my point being is, I agree with you. Tom Cruise, pretty much, he's a true movie star. 9 times out of 10, Tom Cruise is in a badass movie. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows how to pick good films. He's powerful enough that he can produce most of the films he's in now, so he does the movies he wants. He's great, but even he's fallible. The Mummy is going to tarnish his record for forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
we're done with movies. No more movies. Comic books.
Let's talk about the ambassadors.
The ambassadors.
Let's go down to the Outback, eh? That's a horrible.
Helam, we're finally talking about the ambassadors. I bet T. Helam was super excited to finally see his people represented in comics. I bet it's been so difficult for Tehillim reading all these comics and there's not Australians that he can identify with.
Well, the dumb thing about this, if you want Australia Outback, basically to identify this, you're gonna have someone driving in the road in the middle of the dark, and have a kangaroo jump up and kick your car. That's how you identify with the character. And he flips the kangaroo. I'd be like, "Fuck you, kangaroo!"
You've seen that viral clip of the guy who saves his dog from the kangaroo?
I've also seen the one where the guy's driving and the kangaroo jumps up into his windshield, kicks it.
I haven't seen that one, but the
Oh,
the one
pitch black. It's like
the,
this.
the one where he saves his dog is hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that viral video, you should look it up. It's probably easy to find with the search terms "rescue dog from kangaroo." It's he just this kangaroo's got this dog in like a headlock. And the dog's just like chilling there, and the guy just like walks up and like just socks the kangaroo in the face, and then the kangaroo like leaves the dog, like drops him, and the dog runs off, and it's just like standing there like stunned, like he's like, I can't believe I just got punched. It's funny. Anyways, I was excited. It's, I love wildlife stuff. Anyways, back to wildlife. This is Mark Miller's The Ambassadors. This is issue number 5 of
Starring
this
Craven
new
the Hunter.
series. This is better than Craven the Hunter.
Nothing is better than Craven the Hunter.
Australia, the only country to go to war with and lose to emus?
Emus, yeah.
What? um, oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that country's so dangerous that the Nazis didn't even try to invade it. Well, the freaking animal to kill you.
What do you got to say about this issue of Ambassadors?
For me, I was bored until page 13. That's when I
Really?
picked up, and yeah. I don't care. I just don't care for this character's background. Blah blah blah. Let's get to the root meats potatoes. At this point, I thought the previous the priest was more entertaining.
I was never bored with this issue, but I was annoyed. Maybe I don't know if that's worse or not. um, I don't think. Kind of one of the things I appreciated about this issue was that they didn't really do a big background. Like every issue before has been like, okay, let's start with the character who's not a hero and he's going through, and then eventually by the end of the book he becomes the hero or whatever. Okay, and I was like, okay, if every book's going to do that, here it starts off the dude's already a hero, and we get some action, and he's rescuing people, and they're not really doing much of a background, and then we get some flashbacks to kind of catch us up to speed of why he was picked, but
You're a racist, sir.
it's relatively brief.
You're a racist. You said a lot of racist things. You were, political point, candidate or person, and he's like, yeah, but I was gay, secretly gay, so that makes up for all of it.
Yeah,
So they said,
this is the part that annoyed me. Go ahead, say what you were going to say.
So my thing is like sort of like, well, okay, I like the kind of idea of someone changing their ways, but she's like, on a condition that you basically just your identity stays public, so everybody knows it's you. I doesn't that break the whole rule? She says, you keep it a secret and stuff.
Yeah, and this almost felt like Mark Millar had a ghostwriter. Like I was like, this does not feel. This feels very like corporate, DEI kind of like we got to get our ESG score stuff. I was like, this just does not. It's not necessary, and it could have been done so much better. I kind of like the fact that like she doesn't want to select him as a hero because he's a politician and he's basically a Trump-like politician, just a total like asshole who says real controversial, apparently homophobic things, whatever. But in reality, guess what? Big plot twist. He's actually gay, so he can't really be homophobic. Like all of a sudden, it's like he's got immunity from being homophobic because he's actually gay. And I'm like, oh, so this is like essentially like how black people can just throw around the N-word. Like the N-word is the most horrific thing. We can justify violence to people using it. Oh, but if a black person said, oh, whatever, it's totally fine. Which I think is it's utterly ridiculous.
It's
Here, it's like
hypocritical.
totally stupid to you if you have views of that aren't positive to homosexuality, but you're actually homosexual. It's fine. It's anyways. So she's like, well, I guess since you are actually homosexual, and he says, I've changed my ways. They're like, oh, okay, well, we'll select you now, on one
I like
condition:
her.
you got to be public, so that the world can see your testimony of how. I'm like, oh, this is so
Even the most vile
cliche,
person can, yeah.
so
Um,
cliche. Like, oh, so basically, he is the virtue signal member of the team.
yeah.
That he can walk around and be like, look, I used to be against the gays, and then I woke up, and realized that I liked smoking the skin flute, and now I changed my heart, and so now I'm gonna like what? What? The dude's in his 70s. Come on, this it didn't ruin the book. I'm reacting probably a little bit more harshly to it.
I just kind of fast forwarded. It's like, let's get to the meat potato. Let's find more stuff. Blah blah blah. I don't care anymore at this
It's not as
point.
bad. Like
It was needless. A waste of 14 pages.
if this were a
Yeah.
Marvel comic, I would have stopped right here and just been like trash. But I was like, it's Mark Millar. He's earned my trust. I'm gonna keep going.
Well,
And sure enough,
the one
honestly,
positive about
this
this,
is not my
oh,
least favorite issue.
I want to say though, it is a positive. At least he's a macho gay.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a prissy gay.
Yeah, I
Just
didn't
like
actually mind so much that he was gay. It was more like how it was done. It really felt by the
forced.
numbers. It just felt
Yeah.
like hey, we're pro. Like it felt like the comic book was telling me, look, audience,
Well,
I'm pro gay. I'm like, I don't need you to comic book to deliver
well,
me a story. I don't need to know your
comic is
politics.
yeah. The comic is very diverse too. I think he's the only white character. He's Australian. He's gay.
He's the only white male, except he's a gay. So there are no straight white males. So it is very pro diverse.
um, but like I said, as we get to like gay, whatever, he's gonna go. His whole point of this issue, he's gonna go rescue these people. They're vegetarians that were gonna go out there and go do a hunger or not hunger, but a camping thing, trip, climbing, whatever, and they got lost. So his point is to go out there and save them. He finds them, but then this is where the comic really picks up for me right here.
Hold on, hold on,
Is
hold on.
with this,
Let me clarify this real quick.
yeah,
You made it sound all weird. There's a bunch of vegetarians that got lost. It was
well,
mountain
there,
climbers that
whatever.
got trapped in the weather that were doing a climb in promotion of some sort of like vegan activism. But like when
Yeah,
people do things for like sponsorship or whatever to bring awareness. So they were doing it for a vegan cause. And that's what it was. But anyway, sorry, it just sounded
yeah.
weird the way you said it. It's like these are mountain
Well, there's
climbers, not just a bunch of like vegetarian weirdos out in the woods.
no, they are vegetarian weirdos.
Well,
Vegan cause. I was
continue.
person though. But yet he's gay though, so you gotta like him. Um,
Yeah, he's allowed. Now, see, dude, Mark Millar is low key genius here because he's totally made a character that can like say this shit and get away with it because hey, guess what? He's gay. Like, it's gonna be great. I'm actually kind of curious. Like, I'm actually kind of liking this guy because I want to see him say all this shit and people can't question him. He's like, what? I'm the gay guy. Like, what are you gonna say shit to me? Like, screw you, you hip, Uh, anyways, go ahead.
so anyway, he's gonna go pick him up, and of course, well, something worse happens at 55. He's trying to build an igloo around them. He's gonna warm them up, and I was like, whoa.
Dude, I love this.
Where is
This was an example of Mark Millar's journeyman, like um just being a good comic writer, knowing how to like pace a story and stuff. I love this page reveal. He's like, it seems pretty basic. He's rescuing hikers. He's making an igloo. It's nothing like you need Superman for, and then all of a sudden, boom, 747 just comes crashing out of the sky, um, right on top of him. It's just this was a great like in the middle of me being all annoyed. I'm like, it's like 3 pages, real small. I'm like, this is so dumb. And then boom, what? Immediately, I forgot everything that I was just annoyed about.
So then I see this, and I'm thinking like, and then you see the next page crashes into the or it into the water,
Yeah, I love that
and then it's
shot.
like I'm like that's devastating because that could happen in real life, and just
Yep.
imagine people
And there's all
die.
the vegans. It's all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
float.
yeah.
And then the next page, he's just like, "Fuck, blazing jet with 100 screaming passengers, maybe even more. Where the
I can't
hell
do
did
anything.
that thing come from? Vegans are goners. No way I can save them in the plane at the same time. Got to go for the higher number." I love it. Like I love the way this is written here and the way this character thinks. Like it's just like a your old classic like DC comic. Like Superman would find a way. Or whatever. But like here, it's just very much like pragmatism. It's like I can't
He's
save these
limited. Yeah,
vegan
yeah.
guys. I got a whole plane I got to try to somehow uh
And he's
save.
only limited to 3 people or 3 powers at a time. You know.
He's only limited to 3 powers at a time, and he's stuck with these ones. Like the earlier in the comic, they talk about he's got like temperature control. He's got these really
Speed.
like middling powers. Like he doesn't
Because
have
everybody
like
was sharing. Because that's the thing. There's only limited power, like 25 powers, I think, or something like that.
yeah
But they're like he's limited to 3 at a time because other people are using other ones. He said I could have used gravity, and I could have got this done.
yeah
So this is where.
for whatever reason you can't have a power that someone else is using. So if someone's
Yeah.
using super strength, no one else can have the super strength.
So the reason I said this is where it picks up, 15 or
Yes.
16, it's page 16. Now, you see the guy floating up in the corner there. He's like, "What the hell is who's that?" He's this is a guy we've seen before.
Is
I
it?
believe at the bar.
I don't. I don't know if
It's
this
the
is the
same
guy.
guy,
I don't think this is the guy. I think this is a different guy.
but he does reveal. He saves after he saves all of them. Obviously, he's got immense power. He's like he says, I'm like the version of you before you or something like that." So he says when he talks to
Yeah,
the
he's
guy.
essentially a prototype.
Yeah,
Uh,
and yeah, he says the people are hunting me. I can only be around for I constant keep moving, and it's like, and yeah, I just like yeah, and he says, "Who are you?" He's like, Jamie McPhail or I think, and then he basically tells the guy, he's like, he's just like, I gotta keep moving before they catch up with me, and he just yeah, it's I'm just say. He's like, a little jealous. You get to see you guys doing this. This is what I was supposed to be, but our project failed.
for those of you
And
who've ever watched the Stranger Things series, I'll try not
yeah,
to say too much spoilers, but if you watched all the seasons of Stranger Things and you know the character 11 in the beginning, this is some minor spoilers to Stranger Things. In the beginning, 11 is like an isolated character. She's got special powers, blah blah. Later on in the series, you discover, of course, why she's called 11 is because there were others, at least 10 before her. Um, and so you realize that this is what this is kind of like here. It's like these characters have these powers, but they weren't the first. There were predecessors that came before them, and they were actually supposed to be, according to this guy, exterminated. But the doctor, scientist, or whatever that was like,
oh
developing
yeah,
whatever, he like freed them.
yeah.
So
He says
there's this
he
whole
says
backstory that we don't get. It's a one off, and I love
no,
storytelling like this. By the
I
way,
need to correct you though, but he
go
wasn't.
ahead.
They weren't gonna kill him.
Oh,
He was meant to be put to sleep over 30 years ago. Now I took it as meant being cryo or whatever, not maybe put down.
no, I took
But they
that as
said,
put down.
but they basically evolved his powers to the point where they can't control him. And I'm trying to think of the because remember there was also the monkey too, the
They
monkey
say right
kid.
here. They say right here. It says, "Do you think you're the only super people on the planet? There's bastards out there doing terrible things, and they'd rip me apart if they ever tracked me down. These are the richest men in the
Yeah.
world, my friend, and they'll be coming after you very soon. And you are, and you blah blah blah." He says they took me from an orphanage, messed around with my evolution to a point where they didn't even have a name for it yet. I was meant to be put to sleep over 30 years ago, but the doctor in charge just released me into the wild, and I've been living on the streets ever since. So it's a really, really brief backstory like thing. Like Mark doesn't waste too much time on this.
But
But
that's not
one of
even
the
the
things
best part.
but I love
So
world building like this where you just hint at things. The way
yeah,
I've loved this ever since George Lucas did this back in the original Star Wars when Luke's family's just killed. He's talking to Uncle, Ben, this hermit guy, and Ben tells him about, oh yeah, your father was like the greatest pilot in the galaxy, and he fought with me in the Clone Wars, blah blah. And then you as the audience, you're like, what's this Clone Wars? What's going on? The movie never explains it, moves on. And for decades, like after, like, well, I'm not decades, but many, many years later, until finally the prequel movies would be made, that lived in my brain and my imagination. I was like, what's this, And
about 20 years later, yeah.
I love when writers do things like that, where they introduce elements. They don't explain it because it's not crucial to the story, but it piques your imagination where you go, oh, I wonder what that was all about. So, anyways, Mark does that here.
So you already got this, and then it's like, oh my gosh, we can top this. This thing we're learning about this guy because since issue 1 we were taught about this. There's this government agency, and obviously, if you read Planetary, you know about there's always like a project that makes superheroes. Field projects.
Well, here there's no government. Here there's just two factions, and it's basically the husband and the wife, right?
No. In the very first issue, we learned about the monkey kid that was going around the vending machine in Mexico or what it was.
Yeah.
And he stopped, and obviously there's a guy who looks kind of like if you've ever read Invincible, he looks like Vincent. No,
Right. But
yeah.
My theory on that is that guy is part of the group with this guy. Like, I think that guy was probably also one of the prototypes.
That's what I mean.
And that guy might be working with the government now, because he's, people got to live, and he might have chosen new alliances, and maybe that's the only way he could be safe, right? Is like, well, if I go with the government and the government needs me, they'll protect me from.
But that's what I mean. There's three things. Not only are the villains in this story, and plus there's the new team that she's putting together. That this guy, the Australian's on. Plus this other guy, the one here, the one a secret guy. I'm here before you. So a government thing. So, but this is disturbing now. Like I said, you go from like, okay, we get to see this huge scene of this guy does a heroic thing, and then he disappears, and then we get something just stomach turning, just vile.
This is I forget, because he's got a Korean. They both have Korean names, the husband and wife. So I always forget their names. But
I call it crazy ex-husband.
Yeah,
Kim Jong Young.
So he's been working on supers of his own. He's divorced. Well, he
got powers.
He set up his wife, right? I mean, she was in jail the whole time, and then there's that cool story of how she got out. The issue number 1 is still my favorite, but yeah. So we saw in the last issue that he's basically got all the world's billionaires kind of on his side and he's promised them like superpowers. And we get to see that story kind of elaborated a little bit more here, and they're out in the outback, and this family, and he's, like, heads or tails. And this guy's, what? Just answer the question. I'm not going to play your stupid games. It's like, call it or we will, you old man. Okay, tails. Goddamn it, tails. And then we see apparently it's his granddaughter just drop from the sky and drop her head. And it's like, oh, she landed heads. Jin Sung Chung, that's the guy's name.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And just imagine this grandfather watching his granddaughter. And this is the part, I got to admit, I wasn't annoyed in the same way I was earlier in the book, but this reminded me a lot of kind of why like Skip doesn't like Mark Millar's work. Because Mark has a tendency to go
kill
overboard. He goes,
yeah.
And I this wouldn't stop me
villains are villains.
This wouldn't stop me from you're right. This wouldn't stop me from getting the book. My problem with this scene isn't that the scene happens. is that did it need to be portrayed this way? Did you have to show me it? Is there a
He
way where
well,
you can show the evil
off
without
screen.
being so graphic?
Well,
That
this is why I go back. For me personally, when I read Batman and Joker stuff, Joker just I mean, he's sadistic,
Mhm.
but seeing him just pull out a gun and just shoot someone in the head, like you saw with in the Batman '89 movie, Jack Nicholson's character, he didn't care. He was evil. He just shot and killed someone. He didn't care. Give an
Yeah.
expert a gun. Next
This is
person, yeah.
this is this is one of those tough calls, right? Because everyone's got a little bit different threshold of what affects them. I think Mark
It's
is a little
evil is
desensitive.
evil. Yeah.
I think, well, you're right. I mean, these characters are evil, and you definitely. If I'm arguing for him, I would say Mark has really put me in these guys gotta pay category, right? He stirred my emotion by showing me this. You know,
Shock value. Yeah.
sometimes being this graphic helps your storytelling. I mean, we were talking about Saving Private Ryan earlier. There's some
Yeah.
horrific stuff in that movie, but it kind of is necessary because that movie is trying to show you how war is hell, right? And
Like yeah.
if you just go like show the John Wayne version, it doesn't make you feel like war is hell. It makes you feel like war is a great
See,
place where you go be a hero. Like, no,
you
war is a
go to same.
shitty.
I was gonna say you go to St. Pride and you take away the scene where the guy they let go the Nazi comes back and
Yeah,
stabs the guy in the heart.
yeah.
You take away the scene right there. It loses that movie really drops a notch because that
So
is just shows you the horror of wars that you cannot be a softie.
so this is one of those cases. I think Mark is just a little more desensitized than I am, and he likes to show some of the graphic stuff. And these villains are just way over the top. And so this it's a billionaire club. This one guy's like, man, I'm not into this. I just wanted to get some superpowers, blah blah blah. And they basically explain that, and this is the part that I did kind of like because I really feel this is true. I feel like this is what's really going on in our government. I feel like this is what goes on in any sort of corrupt organization. He's like, for a man who wants to live forever, you're really going a funny way about it. What's that supposed to mean? We don't do this because we enjoy it, Bryn. We kill as a bonding exercise and maybe to have a little shit on each other. There's nothing to be scared of, no repercussions when your friends own the internet. And I want you to take a blooding like a man, or I'll stop your heart right here and now. And when I
So
read
he
this,
tell you,
I was like,
yeah.
this is exactly what Epstein was all about. You got a bunch
And
of
I
people and they're all in on it, right? And this is why Hillary is not in prison, why Biden's not in prison, why all these things, because no one will give the goods up on each other because they're all part of it. And this is why this guy has to kill this person. It's not because they're sadistic and they love killing. It's because they all need to be dirty. And if you're not dirty with the rest, this is how, if you're investigating police, like undercover police, it's so difficult to investigate the police because you're an undercover, what do you call it? The internal affairs, right? The dirty cops want to make sure you get dirt on you. They want to make sure like you got to go kill someone
so
because if
this is
otherwise we think you're a narc.
yeah.
And so that's
So
kind of what's going on here. And it was like I was like, man, Mark gets it. So go ahead.
so
Sorry.
it's the second time we've seen Gary the Neurotic from in a Mark Millar book.
Yeah. And it's really sad to see how Gary would sell out. He wouldn't hold true to
Either you're a
his
black pill or you're not a black pill. Join us.
but true to form, we turn the page and we go to get to see how Mark Millar just loves his graphic violence. So, um, and then the book ends off because one of the guys is questioning like, what about this? Your ex-wife and the ambassadors, and he's like, no big deal. They'll be dead soon enough. I found my little traitor in their ranks.
So
So
my question
who's the
is
traitor?
so I kept thinking because I wonder if the traitor is the Australian
Uh,
corrupt guy. You
I
know,
don't think it could be. It could be, but I do notice he says I found my little traitor. That made me think of the little boy. Remember the little
sure,
boy who like had the gun? He was gonna go shoot up a school.
could
Um,
be. He did
and
throw the gun in the
they
water,
let him be a superhero. He did throw the gun in the water,
so
but
it could be him. Like I said, or if it's the Australian was a plant to reveal that he's gay. You know,
it would seem
he's
weird
actually
to
straight.
plant a
He's not gay.
70-year-old dude, though. It could be. My second pick, if it's not the little boy, my second pick is the girl from the previous issue
Well,
who was going to
I
kill
don't.
the priest, and then the priest goes,
I
"No,
wouldn't
you
even
go
say
be a
that.
superhero."
You I think it is actually out of all of them. It's the
Hmm.
kid from India
Right. It's got to be. It's most
because
likely the person who would be least likely.
it's the kid from India because he threatened his family. They found out who he was right away. Remember?
Well, no, but remember,
He
every book is like that. Every except this one. Every book so far has ended with someone coming and making an offer at the end.
they didn't make the Australian an offer.
Except for this book, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, the easiest one to corrupt is and who would be a pushover would be the kid from India because he cares about his family,
I
cares
think
about his
the
friends.
kid from India is only likely because he's the least likely. And from a storytelling perspective, that's the way to have the big twist where you go, oh, the guy that you would never expect, right? Because we already saw that the little kid was going to shoot up a school. So that he seems like a likely suspect. We saw that the girl from the last issue was going to kill the priest. And then she only became super because he basically passed off his golden ticket to her. Like she wasn't even one of the candidates. She was already corrupt. She was working with the gangs, right? And then you see this guy who was a corrupt politician. So everyone's had questionable morals except for the Indian kid who was in the first issue. And so that to me from a writing standpoint says, "Oh, he's the primary suspect because he's the guy you should logically least expect." And it makes for a bigger twist. Zach says he thinks it's the Korean lady's secretary. Oh, there you go, Zach. If Zach is right, I'm gonna say
You
good pick.
know, could be.
This lady right here, yeah, she looks like a
Yeah,
traitor.
yeah. The 1980s called. They want their glasses and hairstyle back.
I do have to say it's a little weird with all the different artists for every issue because some of these characters like look radically different with the different artists drawing them. Sometimes I'm like, is that the same character? I don't even know. Um,
It could not even be. It might not even be the secretary. It might be one of the tech guys.
so aside aside from my annoyances with this book, which I went off on to at length, I actually by the end of this might actually be my second favorite issue. Aside from those annoyances, like this would have been a way better issue without those. But I liked that this moved the overall plot the way the first issue did. It gave us like more behind the curtain stuff, m- more actual plot. Some of the other issues
Yeah,
have just been like, oh, look, it's a mom and she's trying to like have a relationship with her boy and she becomes a superhero team. And it's fine. It had great art, but it didn't move much. Um, so this one actually did. I really and this scene was really impactful as much as I was like, oh, whoa, oh. It was it was horrifying. I mean, you stirred emotion in me. Congratulations, Mark. Good job. Um, so yeah, and this guy is a
Yes.
total bastard. Like you made me feel like I want to see this guy get killed. Like I'm like, and that's what you should do to a villain. Like you should make me hate the villain, and you did. Congrats.
Yeah, like I said the most that makes sense for me, and this is the cool cliche, is go with a Spider-Man hero type character, the kid from India, who couldn't tell his parents because you put him out. She said to put your other family was in danger if the villain or people found out who you were and stuff. And here they show up, but they were sort of like, oh shit. And he was, he only met at the time there was only like what another person that was had powers that was chosen other than him, so he could have folded easily.
So we only have 2 weeks for the grand finale to come out. This book's been coming out really fast. I kind of wish it were coming out monthly, but
Now I'm so thankful that this guy came out of the closet before Pride Month. That would have been crazy.
well,
Next
I mean,
issue.
it kind of already feels like Pride Month. Like I feel like May, like Pride Month has become May and June. Like we have like Pride pre-Pride Month and then Pride Month. Like it's like
Pre Pride
sports. Like
Month.
you have preseason for sports. I feel like this is the preseason of Pride Month because
It's
all
pre
I've
live.
all I've been hearing about is Pride stuff. Maybe it's because of the Dylan Mulvaney Budweiser fiasco and then the Target
Target.
fiasco. Like that's not even Pride Month stuff yet. But whatever. Um, so here's the next issue. Mateo Scalera, one of my favorite artists in the business now. I'm looking forward to this. I don't know how they're going to wrap up in one issue. They're probably not. They're probably not. It's probably going to be like Nemesis, where it has like a small resolution, but then also like, oh, and we're going to lead into the big game. What do you think? You think that I'm right on that?
Sure. Will be the event of the summer. I mean, how are they gonna? Like? Are they gonna cop out and be like, "There's too many characters. These are the characters are all dead. We're gonna have Kick-Ass is already dead. So it's already dead. We killed all of them. We'll just show you like a Easter egg and that's it. Like, who's gonna be alive? You know? They said all the heroes are dead. Okay, but will new heroes cross over from other parts of the world? New heroes rising up. Obviously, I want to see what happens in Nightclub because Nightclub, their next issue, they're going to have a battle against the villains, and obviously they're going to win. But will they be going at
Is
night?
that obvious? I don't know,
I
man.
think I think so. I think there might be some casualties. Who knows? But can you imagine the kids from Nightclub going against any of these villains, or at least going against um what's the name, Nemesis?
Nemesis? Yeah, no. Nemesis will wipe the floor with them. But I mean, they do have vampire powers, and Nemesis is just human.
He would just light him on fire.
I think he'd find a way. Um,
Wasted away.
this I was thinking about when I was thinking about doing my thumbnail cover for the evening. I was like, I want to do Nightclub, and then I saw this cover, and I was like, oh no, this is a terrible cover. It's not often these days that the cover is worse than the interior art. What is going on with this cover?
Uh, if you chop off the bottom half and just keep the top part, it looks cool.
The top part is kind of cool. Yeah. And the composition of the shot, like if you look at this like really small, like I'm looking at it, um, like I'm looking through the Discord where I'm sharing with you, and that's like a really small screen. Like it looks a lot better, but when I see it blown up big on my monitor, I'm like, oh, it's not good.
Naked old lady. Then you see the bats.
I was like, is
If
the artist wasn't able to draw a cover? What's going on?
could they just not have the freaking old lady and anybody else on there? Just have a blood splattered cover with bats and just says nightclub.
Now, we're doing the second Mark Miller book for the night because Mark Miller's all the hotness this year.
We get this cop here guy, and I gotta say, he looks like another character I've seen in Mark's books.
Magnum PI.
Did not. He kind of looks like the dad of the main kid. Like he's drawn. This could be the
Maybe.
artist.
So this is a book that I was a little bit critical of in the beginning.
PP Pants Rose.
If you guys remember when we talked about this on issue 1, and I was like, man, this book just feels really rushed. It just didn't feel like my typical Mark Miller book, but I was like forgiving because it's only $1.99. So I was like, for $1.99, do it. This is great. With this issue, this is, in my opinion, the best issue so far. With this issue, this is $3.99 material. This issue, the book was better than the Ambassadors. This issue, I was like, applaud. Mark, you're taking this book someplace. I feel like all the rest has been set up. This book takes us into Act 3. And I'm very excited for this book now. What about you? Like,
Well,
what were your broad thoughts about the book?
well, we're finally getting like every vampire thing is movie or TV show. We finally get into the backstory of who these vampires are, whether it's True Blood or Dracula or whatever. So the bad guys, we learned him. Name is Gunner or something, whatever his name is. He was from the Confederate War. The other guy was just on leave and got any wrong place, wrong time. The Asian guy. The other guy is just like a weirdo. I guess a druggie. I don't know if he's a druggie or whatever, but he's a sadistic person. The lady was a farmer's wife or something was attacking her cattle. She ended up going out there inspecting it, and we learned that she was pregnant when they turned her, and all these years later, she's still pregnant, and there's something moving inside her. How that is? You know what that reminds me of? Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder one. So it's disturbing. But we get to learn more about the cop here, and this is supposed to be 14 for like he did it for 14 days or whatever he was. He's pretending to be homeless because someone was being homeless. The homeless were getting taken, and he basically sees it one day. He basically sees when he goes to shoot them, realize it doesn't work because they're freaking vampires. Gets his head smashed against the wall, and he's under cop, and he's like, "Shoes he wired?" So basically they take him. I figured because no one's gonna look for him anyway because he's probably doing this on his own. Doesn't have orders to do it. And they go to torture him, and then they turn him, and then they basically stick him against the little lady he's been playing cards with, Rosie. He smells like piss. He's and I describe it. He's like, she's taking a piss and what did it say? Booze.
Stank of piss and booze, and had been wearing those same
clothes.
piles of clothes for at least 10 years. Her socks were hard and stale with sweat, but so help me God, I had never wanted to eat anything more.
That's little gross. Like, I know what sweat smells like, and
yeah. So this is a lady that when he was living on the streets trying to embed himself undercover, she was a homeless lady that was kind to him and stuff. And turns out these vampires, they're gonna sort of teach him a lesson. So they turn him and then they starve him, and then I guess it's like 14 days later. I don't remember how long, and then he's to the point where he just goes berserk and he can't even control himself, and just drains her dry, and he doesn't even realize what he's done until it's over. But then he feels guilty, and this is kind of like a similar plot line to what we saw with the villains of the last book, where they're just like, you got to be like one of us, like, and they make him do evil shit, and all he can think about is like how guilty he is that he killed this woman, even though as the reader we go, dude, there's nothing he could have done. Like, he clearly didn't.
Yeah, he says, I need to clear conscience.
He doesn't see it that way.
Scum.
Yeah, so he uses his powers to go after scum because he does have to feed, and he realizes he needs to stay alive so that he can basically kill these bastards. So it's like the lesser of two evils type of thing. Like, I gotta do the evil shit of a vampire so that I can actually dedicate myself to killing these other really evil vampires. And we come back to the kids who, if you remember from the previous issue, he got, took them into custody, um, and he's telling them the story, and he identifies who these guys are, um, and we also get to learn about Bloody Mary, who apparently seems to be some sort of really ancient vampire. He says he doesn't even know how old she is, but she's at the point now where she doesn't even like to breathe oxygen, so they keep her in a tank. Um,
Little
but
fish tank, yeah.
yeah, so the other vampires
She's
take care of her. We get a scene where they go to have some fun, and they like go to basically like SeaWorld with a bunch of killer whales, and they just annihilate the whales. That was a kind of an interesting scene how he
oh they also
described.
yeah. She's so old. They point out that she doesn't speak any language they've ever heard of.
Yeah.
So they basically connect. They can barely communicate with her.
Um, it was interesting. I liked how he wrote that scene. Um, there's a lot of exposition here as the story is basically being told to these kids, through his point of view, and he basically explains like this is why I've chosen you. He says I need about 10 guys to do this job, and basically these three kids are the first, and they're like, what how, and he's like, have you not been hearing what I've been saying? Like, we got to stop these guys, and they know about you. They're going to kill you. Like, we don't have time to like dick around with this. And just as he's getting to the point, it's like, whoop, oh, he's dead. You're like, what? Mark Millar knows how to do these reveals out of nowhere that I just love. Did not see this coming at all. And
Neither did he.
neither did he. And now notice here, I love the scene because the kids are like, what the? But two of them are tied up in chains. They can't defend themselves at all. So only the main kid has any hope at all. And then look at all four of them like, look, I'm really disappointed. They're like, had been suspecting him, but and these kids like, oh God, what are we gonna do? And you know, this kid's backed into a corner. He realizes that he's got to do something. So he charges, but they swat him down. Because they're vampires too, and more powerful than him. So he's been going against normal humans with his powers, but now he's up against
Uh,
creatures that are more powerful and more experienced. But even then, like they don't. This is like I think they're gonna be probably their downfall. They don't kill him. I think this leader guy is like sadistic, and he's just like
Same
there's
thing. Did you tell the cop you go kill your families, rip their hearts out, or we kill you and your family?
yeah. So he's like, what can we do as a test of loyalty, Sean? You're good at this kind of stuff. Who should we send them to kill? How about their families? I like it. Um, and so he tells them, yeah, you gotta go kill your parents, or we're gonna kill you, and we're gonna kill your parents. That's like a really bad predicament to be in because you can't take the high road and be like, oh, I'd rather die than do that. Oh, okay, you can die, but your parents are still gonna die. So you can either die and your parents die, or your parents die but you live. Like that's that's
Yeah.
a that's a really bad dilemma. Um, and so the kids
The
go home, and we get to see them in their dilemma. Um, and they're texting each other, and apparently, like these vampires like got their phone numbers and address, and it's like they're like, oh shit, how do they know? What the hell are we gonna do? And it ends with the main kid. It's like I don't fucking know. And he drops his phone, and it's to be concluded. And this issue really worked for me, man. Like I really felt their situation. Like I was like, oh crap.
much
Um,
more straight to the point, unlike the other one, ambassadors. Like I said, it's been yeah. Uh, it's they're the
I
underdogs.
I love
This is
stories like
basically
this where you're like up against the eight ball, and me as the audience, I'm like, how are they gonna, d- how are you gonna get out of this? Like, and this is the kind of story again. I like to use I use Star Wars all the time as my references, but it's because Star Wars has always been like the biggest thing. It's informed all of my ideas and understanding of writing and fiction and things. And one of the things I just of many that Star Wars did so well is put these characters up against like impossible situations. Right? You're just like, there's a Death Star. It can destroy planets. You've got a what? How are you going to stop this? you, you know what? You got a dark sorcerer guy who's more powerful than any other person. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you put these characters in these situations, and as the audience, it builds tension, and then you see them delivered through impossible odds, and it makes for an exciting story. Hopefully, Mark delivers the goods here too, because I'm like I don't see how they get out of this. I mean,
True. I mean,
the,
it's just I think I treat it like Nemesis, where they just get killed because their masks are on the floor in front of the big game poster. Their masks are there too,
and
along with Kick Ass and all the other. So
uh, I don't
I,
think they're
I
good.
would
I
hope
think that
that
would make for a terrible story if they just died.
I think they're going to be like the boys. They're going to be the underdogs in this big game thing. I think they'll survive.
Hmm.
The the other kid might die though.
What if they turn their parents?
They could.
I think honestly, I mean, I haven't thought about this too long, but I'm sitting here thinking about it now. Like, what would I do in their shoes? And I'd be like, okay, if I can try to, I can say
What
no. I'm not going to kill my parents and try to fight. To which case,
what
I'll probably die, and then they'll come
so
kill my parents. Or I can
so
kill
what
my
if
parents so that I don't die, but then that'll traumatize me for life. Or maybe I just turn my parents and my friends turn their parents, and then we have the manpower of 10 people, like the cop had said.
or they pull some Three Ninja shit and they win that way, 90s style.
I haven't seen Three Ninjas, and I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Rhaegar saying the language he speaks is Enochian. What if she just speaks like a liberal? They have no idea what that means. She's a nutbag. What if the old lady just kills the evil vampires? The ones you don't understand?
Hmm, I don't
Or
know.
because the fact, remember, they have masks, so they know how to hide in the sun. What if they attack the others while they're in their nest and just light their house on fire?
Yeah,
How can you sleep when your place is on fire and you can't go out to the sunlight? Pretty easy. I still say get James Wood to come over with his crossbow, attached to a winch on his truck, and pull you out into the sunlight like vampires. Great movie.
yeah, vampires is fun. We'll have to see. I like in my idea of turning the parents.
I don't think they'll turn the parents. It's just
I don't think they will either, but it seems like an interesting idea because he mentions like I need 10 people. Um,
maybe the parents were already turned.
I mean, they're in a dilemma. Like, I mean, he already turned his friends because he wanted he wanted people to. He didn't want to be alone. So it seems
Maybe,
like in his mo.
maybe, just maybe, even maybe they already know what's going to happen. The guy already turned the parents. Cop that I don't know. I still say that they're gonna pull shenanigans and like the kids are just gonna somehow like it's only one more issue, so it has to wrap up pretty nicely. But we'll figure out how it goes. But it looks like they're gonna go. See, they're going guns a blazing, double size finale for $2.99. Will it be $2.99 for double size?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, kids, this is absolutely for a buck 99. This comic is amazing. Um, I hope that there's not a single one of you skipping out on this book because it's a buck 99. And
We'll
if we
we'll
don't
find
if we
you.
don't pay if we're not willing to pay buck 99 for a comic, then I guess we deserve 5.99 Marvel and DC comics. Um so I guess if you're not paying for comics at all, then
Oh
it makes sense. But
gosh,
if you're paying $4.99 or $5.99 for Marvel or DCs, you're not paying for this. All
did
I
you
can do is
see the
shake my head.
so the price for the next issue is $3.99.
It is, huh?
It's double size. That's why.
Eh,
So not only are you paying the price for a normal book, PC book, but you're getting twice as much, a better quality. And it's Matteo Scalera is doing a cover art, but he's not doing the interior art though. It's Juan and Ramirez.
Marania says she's heading to bed, and we'll catch the rest of the show on replay. Well, Marania, thank you for joining us this long. Um, let's see. Read Boom's
That'll be
Power
a
Rangers instead of Marvel, says Ethereal Dragon. I've heard good things about Power Rangers. Um, I'm not a Power Rangers guy myself, but I would
Power
highly
Rangers with
recommend.
Ninja Turtles. Yeah, crossover to me. For me, it's I recommend that. If you're not a Power Rangers fan, but you are a Ninja Turtles fan, Ryan Parrott writing that along with having the Ninja Turtles crossover, it's been awesome.
Yeah, if Ryan Parrott's writing, you should check it out. And if you like Power Rangers, by Boom with Ryan Parrott, you might also want to check out what's that called? Inferno? No, it's
Radiant
called.
Black.
It's in the Radiant Black universe, but it's
Oh,
called
it
something
just came out.
else.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It just came out last week.
Shoot. um, not Inferno. What is it?
196 issues. Well, that must be like variant covers too. Look at Power Rangers from Boom.
I can't remember the name of it. Someone in the chat help me out. It's Ryan
Holy,
Perot's
oh,
Ryan Perot's writing a book in that universe. Um, and that universe is basically a Power Rangers
oh.
ripoff
So
or inspired by.
there's been 22 issues since release. They got November of 2020 was issue 1 of Power Rangers, and then issue 22 is scheduled to come out this August. I looked at IMDb, or not IMDb, but basically it's comic geeks. They said it's like over 145 like different like covers, 196 covers. So main covers plus variants just for Power Rangers. I can only imagine
Jeez.
Marvel. I can only imagine Marvel has a lot more. And it looks like Ryan Parrott is writing the Boom Studios one.
Yeah, he's been writing it for a while. Since even before the reboot. There used to be
I think
two Power Rangers books. There was Power Rangers and Go Go Power Rangers, and Marguerite
I
Bennett wrote one of them, and Ryan Perot wrote the other. And
like I said,
everyone I'd
I'm
ever
just
heard is
not
like the Marguerite Bennett one sucked, but the Ryan Perot one was good. Eventually, they just rebooted it and just had the one book, and he's been on it. And I've never heard anything bad. Um, I'm just not a Power Rangers guy myself, and I would actually not be opposed to reading it. It's just I have a budget, and I just can't squeeze books in. But I totally recommend it all the time to people. It's like if you like these type of things at all, if it seems that anywhere in your wheelhouse, give it a try. I think this guy's one of the guys to watch out for in the industry. He just seems to please. Everyone loves what he does.
watch out for them.
What's
Gonna
the name of
get you.
that book though?
Last week.
Yeah.
Let me go back to next week. Last week, let's see. It's Supermassive.
No, that's the crossover. The Supermassive is the name of the universe. It's
Radiant Pink.
no, it's not Radiant Pink.
Melissa Flores is writing that with Megan. It's a massive universe.
What's the name of the book? I can't.
Radiant Black, Radiant Pink. I don't know what else. Kyle Higgins. It's a Higgins verse, right?
Yeah, it's in that universe.
Oh, hold on, let me look. I'll just go to his name. I just saw his name. Higgins. There's no one. He
Wait, are we sure?
does.
Is it's not? It's not Boom Studios. It's who publishes it? Image, right?
Boom does. Well, yeah. Image is Radiant Black. Boom is everything else.
We'll find it. It's one of those things now where it's like I must know. Um,
Ordinary Gods. Oh, he did the. Hey, Kyle Higgins did do last
Rogue.
metal.
It's called Rogue Sun.
Oh, that one. Okay,
That's the name
that's
of it.
not. Oh, yeah.
There's another book called Inferno Girls. I think that's part of it too. It's not it. It's Rogue Sun. It's on issue 11. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
another one people are liking too.
but everyone, I've been hearing nothing but good things about Rogue Sun. Um, I thought about actually checking this out. I did not like Radiant Black. Some people love Radiant Black though. But there we go. Put this.
Epic Color of the Rainbow, Radiance.
So there's the cover. I like this cover. Pretty cool. So if you're into that, if you like Power Rangers, you should be checking this out because it's a Power Rangers esque type of book, and it's also by Ryan Perot. So I can't see buying one and not the other. Avoid the guest writer stuff. Tina Grace wrote garbage story for it. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Avoid Tina Grace at all cost. All cost. I can't believe what did they just gave Tina Grace a book. Daredevil. They gave they gave Daredevil to Tina Grace. Oh, Marvel. God, my goodness. Daredevil was in the best hands it's been in like 20 years. And then they're rebooting it for Cena Grace. It's like, good Lord. All right. Well, I guess we're all talked out about Rogue Sun. Here's the books that are coming out in 2 days. Looks like Detective Comics leads the list in most anticipated, most pulled books, followed closely by Amazing Spider-Man number 26, which
These are people who don't
Marvel
have.
is actually advertising that it's going to piss you off. They're like actually
Well,
proud that they're going to piss you off.
the
They're
people that
bragging
have
about it.
this in their the people who have this in their pull list probably don't have Twitter.
Uh,
Because I don't know how you could have not. Or they don't follow comic books at all, whatever, on Twitter or social media.
it's
Because
possible. You could be right.
if you saw how shitty it is, the leaks and everything, right? What's going on, the storyline, and the fact you're paying $5 for this book.
Let's check out some of the comments.
And then the other, let's say real quickly, Romita Jr. sucks. He may have been better back in the day, but he can't even keep his as far as what it draws in interior art. Mary Jane will have a color shirt on, and then the next issue she'll be wearing something else, and then it's like there's inconsistency like how he draws her clothing. Now it could be coloring is not his fault, but the way he draws it though, it's just like unless he's doing coloring for it. Oh,
So let's some of the comments.
I,
So
can't you read that
Boo
book?
says,
I like Boo.
"This marks a big point in my comic reading history. This is the first time I have seen a complete and utter disaster happening in real time like this. I usually only hear about this kind of event in legends, like Identity Crisis or One More Day. Uh, biggest shock, or Sin RB says, biggest shocker since 50 years ago. God, this better be something amazing. If it's gonna be the biggest shocker since almost all of Spider-Man's career, like it wasn't Mephisto behind everything that happened in Peter Parker's life, but one above all, I don't know what else to think of. I tried. What do you all think it's gonna be? Well, they
Uh,
already
that
spoiled
person,
it. They already said
yeah.
Kamala Khan's gonna die. Like,
But look at the comment. That comment date is from February 13th, so these are
that's true.
older
That is true.
ones. These
He
people,
did. It is from February 13th. Good point. Being fair. Um, let's see.
May 27th is the next one. There.
Let's see. As someone who, whoops, as someone who isn't into anything that's been leaked so far, it's still a dick move to post spoilers without any sort of warning and ruin the reading experience for others. Hate it or whatever. I know I do, but that doesn't mean you have to write to spoil for anyone else. Extremely immature and childish behavior. Well, thank you, Zero, for the lecture. Um, I'm, I'm, I can see you're very worked up about
It,
a book that you
yeah,
hate being
yeah,
spoiled.
yeah. But if they spoil it for you and you realize, thank God I didn't spend the $5. But then
Look,
again, if they didn't spoil you and you're paying the $5 for current Spider-Man reading the past 25 issues,
yeah,
you are the
I
mark.
am a big proponent of no spoilers, 100%. However, if
If you
you're
say
reading this book, you kind of deserve things to be spoiled. Like, people are trying to save you. Like, nothing's being ruined here. Um,
I'm gonna spoiler Avatar 2, they're trying to save you. Avatar 3. Oh.
some certain smart ass says the rest of this run should just be Peter going around killing off all the lame derivative characters. Kill the
Oh,
Spider Verse next.
oh, that's actually his real name. I thought you were just making fun of him.
um, let's see. Red Temperance says, cannot fathom what possessed every person who took part in this to just go along with it. Like, nobody stopped for a moment and was like, maybe this is a bad idea and more than a bit disrespectful. Fascinating, really. I can't wait to see how they fix this, though. Red Temperance, I hate to break it to you. They still haven't fixed One More Day. I
They
don't know
can't.
why. I don't
They're,
know why you would
they're,
expect them to fix this.
the only way you can, if really the best way to save Spider-Man right now is to reveal that Paul is Mephisto, and he's been basically going after Peter Parker. Now, some people are like, why would Mephisto care about Peter Parker? Peter Parker is the flagship character of the freaking Marvel universe. Of course,
Oh,
he's going to be.
do you think? Whoa, stop for a second. Time out. You think revealing that Paul is Mephisto and has been banging Spider-Man's wife for 4 years is going to fix
Well, no,
things?
he has. Well, there's no clue that they've been banging. The
Oh,
kids are
come
fake.
on!
The kids are fake.
But didn't they get married, or were they're together?
No, no, no. Yes, but as far as we know, because Mephisto, the whole thing with One More Day was Aunt May was dying, he made a deal, they sacrificed their marriage. Now, in Spencer's run, the other, he was going to propose to Mary Jane. They're going to get married again. They're dating. That reneges the deal that he made with Mephisto. So in order to torture this kid, but also it was also revealed the end
Look,
of
I
Spencer's
like where
run.
you're going with it. I think
That-
that's on the surface, it's a really good idea,
but
but
they'll never
that
do
is
it
a
though.
hang up. Like, I think you need to tweak the idea because Paul being Mephisto, maybe Paul being some sort of like illusion character that's like a tool of Mephisto would be a little different. But if
You can
he's
also reveal
actually
this,
Mephisto and she's been with Mephisto for 4 years, that makes for some.
or she's not the real Mary Jane. Or Mephisto has been held hostage by
Oh,
Mephisto.
that would fix things. Um, Tony McGruber Tony McGruder says, so I started reading again when Dark Web came out, which I thought was lame and couldn't wait for it to end. Was happy to see Parker moved away from MJ and is with the Black Cat, but I have a feeling that they're about to kill her off and move her into that fallen friend comic coming out. I'm with most of you though. If issue 26 isn't good, I'm bailing on the series. Okay. Um, not a lot of interesting. We had one of the I think it was for issue 25. We had some better comments, but
Oh yeah, well, this comes out tomorrow.
I think people that are still reading Spider-Man, scratch that. People that are still buying Spider-Man and reading it are just masochists at this point. Like, I don't
They
think there.
literally like
I don't think
if
there's
you look if
anything
you
you could write that would really turn them away. It's
those,
like the people that watch the Batwoman TV show. It's like
yeah.
if you watch that and you found enjoyment out of it, there's not much they could really do to steer you away. It was so bad that you're gonna take whatever. like
So they literally list Paul as boyfriend. That's the other thing. Um, what I would the other interesting theory is that this character, this main god, Benjamin Raven, is actually Paul, and that Mary Jane is basically under some kind of spell.
I like the idea of Spider Gwen being venomized, turn her into
Well,
a villain.
she has her own synthetic symbiote that she wears, her white and black costume that was established.
Oh, is it?
So she's forced to eat kill chips. She's like, I hate kill chips, but it's high in protein, So that basically
Hmm.
the symbiote feeds off of it
Look at
instead of feeding off of her.
look at this Kari Andrews variant. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
that I know. Kari Andrews variant. I saw that too. It's like, you bastards! I will not give it temptation. I will not buy it. I'll right click and save as. Literally, lead us on to temptation. That's all I gotta say. You want
How
to
to
see
get
character?
Ash to how to get Ash to buy Spider-Man comic? Have Kari Andrews do it.
Yeah, and then have Frank Qualley do another cover.
That would get Zach to not buy it. Let's see. Whenever Romita Senior's name comes up in the credits, I check the date. If it's before 2010s, I buy it after 5 seconds. If it's before 1990, I buy it in 1 second. If it's after 2010, I don't buy it. Romita Senior? Are you has Romita Senior done a comic? Like what? Didn't you mean Junior
I don't
maybe?
know.
Rhaegar says he doesn't care about spoilers. Life is too short, and there are too many distractions to worry about such things. I think that is the exact argument I would use why I don't like spoilers. like,
I think he means junior because senior retired back in the 80s. I
yeah,
think, or
that's
the 90s. Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Um, yeah, you only get to enjoy something once. Like, sorry, you only get to enjoy something for the first time once. So
Because they had because over in the 80s. Remember,
what about the 80s? What?
senior left. Senior was out the title because they had McFarlane took over in the late 80s, and John Romita Jr. was also doing art too, with
Was
someone
was
inking him.
was
He
Senior
had
doing the comic before McFarlane? No.
yeah,
No.
yeah. What do you mean? Senior took after Ditko. Ditko was only on for like a couple of issues, and it was John Romita Senior.
All the way up till McFarlane?
No, I'm not saying all the way up to McFarlane. I'm
Oh,
just
that's
saying, it's like Junior was on there. Yeah,
let's see. Who did because 298 was McFarlane's first issue. So 297, wow, that's a big write up.
might have been
um
Junior. Oh, that's sorry.
Alex Saviuk.
Oh, Vince Coletto was on there. Oh, no wonder all the ink backgrounds are gone. There's probably more webbing. You need to erase it.
Man, look at these gigantic like write ups of like how the nowadays it's just like 3 lines.
Well, yeah, because now it's like these are like full up synopsis, like the whole thing. It's just that
All right, so Soviet was probably a fill-in artist. I didn't know Ann Nesenti was writing Amazing Spider-Man. Look at
yeah,
that.
she was
Look
also
at that. There were two women on Marvel's flagship book back in the 80s.
yeah, so J.M. DeMatteis.
Ah, J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck doing a real Craven story.
Craven, look at that manly hair.
Yeah, that's John Romita Jr.
Look at him, and he's wearing a bikini.
Everyone hates John Romita Jr. until they look at it and go, "Oh, I like that."
But I I don't like John Romita Jr.'s art, but I do like the fact that at least he's trying to attempt to give him like Craven look manly instead of looking like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's a fine-looking Craven.
Ooh, that leg is broken. See, now Vince Coletta is basically inking over John Romita Jr. Klaus Janson inked over John Romita Jr. But when John Romita Jr. does his own inking, or someone who doesn't know how to ink, it kind of looks bad. Al
Everyone looks
Kupperberg,
bad when you have bad inking. That's
John Romita's line art without inking looks bad.
I disagree. It looks bad today. In his prime, he looked fine.
But the other thing notice back then is everybody there was a house style how they drew Spider Man.
What was the house
Everyone
style
tried.
for Marvel? In
Everyone
fact, you're
tried to
looking at it
draw.
right here. This is
Everyone tried to draw basically like senior, like from senior, because he drew Spider-Man for so many years. That became the thing. You got to be like that. It's your boy Christopher Priest.
my boy.
This is Andy Senti.
Christopher Priest.
Oh,
Eric
Priest.
Larson.
Rick Larson, though. Yeah.
I didn't know Eric Larson did Spider-Man before McFarlane.
Yeah. Here and there, peppered. It looks like a lot of random artists.
And they probably went through a phase where they didn't have
They're like, what do we do
like
about senior?
we didn't. Yeah, they probably were like didn't have a full team.
Tom DeFalco.
Oh yeah, I remember this cover. Yeah,
The Punisher gets involved.
this is back in a time you put
He got
Punisher on a
involved.
cover, that sold the book. It's like Punisher and Wolverine on a cover would sell your book.
Well, Gang War was awesome. Like they bring in the Punisher and they brought in Daredevil and just like this all the villains working together. Yeah.
Here's Bob Layton doing the cover on this. The ink's in the book. Yeah. I think Bob Layton was a good example. Like he kind of epitomized the Marvel House style too. And this was the month that I got into comics. I always know
Aaron
because it
Taylor
was
Johnson. So Rigger's asking about Aaron Taylor Johnson being Quicksilver. He was, but he's dead in the MCU.
Austin says it's
That's why
12 and I should probably go to bed. Yes, you should. I have Craven Part 2. It's great. I don't think I've read Craven Part 2. Isn't Aaron Taylor Johnson already Quicksilver? And that's what you because the X-Men are now part of. So we'll see. I think Kamala's
well
gonna. I think
that,
Kamala. I think the rumors of Kamala being killed in the comics and then just so she can be brought back as a mutant are gonna prove true as well.
well Kamala's already said she's coming back. They already announced it. September. She's already back.
She's already
So
back.
stupid. Yeah, she already announced it. She already announced the whole event. She's gonna come back in a book. Yep.
When you
Like I said,
announce
it
the
was so
return of the character before they've actually died, that's so
the
stupid.
character's she's supposed to die in this issue. It's
Yeah.
coming up.
Right. she's supposed to. She hasn't actually died yet. The issue hasn't come out yet, but you're already soliciting the return. Can you
And the funny thing is that like who broke the story on that was Hollywood.
just
Or,
even
yeah,
pretend for a moment like that you're serious? Like, can you just try to push the illusion for like a month?
it was entertain. So Zeb Wells and Nick Lowe, they'll try to say there was is someone leaked it over like it was horrible thing. Don't look at avoid spoilers. Then we find out there was actually an internal leak by Marvel leaked to Entertainment Tonight.
So dumb.
Or whatever that was.
Austin
And
asks. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say that it was a planned leak.
Yeah, of course. They always are.
Or the person that leaked it obviously did not like what's going on. He's not a fan, and just like that one, was it that one colorist or artist for DC? Remember he said how they treat the guy, disrespect the guy who created the Joker, the artist. So he said fuck you to DC and left him. Quit. He couldn't deal with the disrespect, the characters, everything.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares about
So
the
yeah, I
disrespect of
remember.
Kamala Harris. So,
So well,
Austin says, "Am I alone in thinking that the profile pictures for characters in League of Comic Geeks should use the earliest, most iconic version instead of the most recent version?" You're probably not
once they
alone,
die,
but
like your boss is dead.
I would disagree. I think that they should probably use what the current version is. But
Once for the writers, the artists and stuff, once they're dead, that's their forever picture. They use like Joe
he's
Rose,
talking about the
black and white.
characters.
Well, the characters they update them all the time.
Right. I think they should use what the current version is. It's weird to be like,
Well, those are the current versions colored.
no. He's saying, is he alone in thinking the profile pictures for the characters should use the earliest / most iconic version instead of the recent version?
He doesn't want the current. Yeah, well, people would freak out. They use 1960s Spider-Man stuff.
It just
But what?
most of the people reading comics today, they don't care about the early classic stuff. They actually like the modern, bastardization of these characters. So, and if
When
you put the
I
profile
came,
picture up of like when they were iconic, I mean, yeah. I mean, can
like,
you imagine having Mary Jane look like a supermodel again? Like, people would lose their shit. They got to make her look like plain Jane. Like, Mary Jane hasn't looked good, and I can't remember since when.
someone on Twitter was complaining about they're tired of Mary Jane being like, "Oh, look, why are they trying to make her a journalist and all this stuff like in the game?" I was like, "It's not." I said, to be thankful that Sam is actually having her being her loving relationship with Peter, like actually, and they actually having her being involved in his life along with Miles stuff. Like, be thankful for that stuff because in the comics, she's been a failed model, a failed actress, failed movie star, basically, or uh, failed nightclub owner. She sucked at running Stark's company when he was dead. No,
Yeah, that I
it's
really
just
hated. I hated when she went to work for Tony Stark. That was stupid. But I didn't mind her so much in the game when they kind of made her like the photojournalist.
yeah, she's
But what
like
bothered me about it is it felt way too
like
on the
they
nose of like being Lois Lane. Like, I was just
sure.
like,
I
and when you're
understand it.
playing the game, I'm not just reading a story. I'm playing as these characters, and you do like a mission, and you have to like be her and sneak around and take the photos, and I'm like, I don't feel Mary Jane here. I feel like Lois Lane, and I shouldn't be playing a Spider-Man game and be reminded of
It's
another comic. So I wasn't
sure.
opposed to that idea.
It
I think it was okay, but I would have tweaked it so that it didn't make it feel different than Lois Lane somehow. Like, like maybe if she was a reporter for a fashion magazine, like that would feel like a little bit more tailored to Mary Jane. But being like hard cutting edge newspaper investigative journalist, like, look, I'm like, come on. Let's tie it into her whole model. She's a failed model. She's been, and we all know models age out, right? Because it's a physical thing, so you can't be a model forever. But maybe she transitions that, like her connections, and she becomes like a high, you know, like for works
They
for a
turned her
fashion
into
magazine.
they basically turned her into a blogger.
Yeah. Well,
Like in the game, Jameson is no longer working at the Daily Beagle.
right.
He
He's
became a podcaster. Yeah. And she's working at the Daily Beagle. Being a journalist. Whether like she says it's her whole sense is basically to like bring the story to the people, whether regardless if it sells or not. She was inspired by Peter. That's why she does it. But it, this way, it doesn't really bother me as much. Like, I mean, but people have pointed out it's very cliche. Well, look at Iris West Allen. Same thing. She's a reporter.
yeah. But she's
No,
also a DC character.
yeah, DC character too. I, at this point, I'm just happy that they're like they don't have her like dating somebody else. We're like, screw you, Parker. I'm dating
Oh, for
Paul now.
sure. It could have been
Yeah,
it could have been way worse. Like I
yeah.
said, when I was playing the game, I wasn't bothered by the change. I was bothered by the fact that it just felt like she
I
like the
love
it felt like a ripoff of Lois Lane. And I didn't
you
want her
know
to be a ripoff. I wanted her to feel authentic. And so if they could have
for
took that
me.
idea and tweaked it slightly, so it was like, okay, this is different than the modeling career, which I know you don't want to do, but not feeling like we just ripped someone else off.
Best part about the whole game playing as Mary Jane though is it says you can just like Spider-Man, get that guy, that guy, that guy. It's like Call of Duty when you do the airstrikes. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like. Like so,
Rhaegar says the Jameson change is not accurate and true to the character, similar to what they did in the movie. JJJ is more legacy media, like the New York Times editor. I agree. I don't like the JJJ.
but don't worry though, because they already in that comic book I was telling everybody about the read the game that's supposed to be a prequel. Jameson is buying that the Beagle
Yeah,
only
I
after only after MJ basically chewed him out for being a hypocrite. But so
of
you
course.
said you used to be a good reporter, but now you're just a sellout. You're just a guy who's just angry and bitter.
Yeah, they kind of
Um,
made Jameson. This is the example of the bad writing. When you make J. Jonah Jameson just a talking head to talk shit about Spider-Man, and like that's the only thing he's good for, you weaken the character. What I always liked about J. Jonah Jameson is that outside of his misrepresentation and like obsession of Spider-Man, he was like a hardcore newspaper man. And that's what makes his character better because it's like, look, in every other way, this guy like knows his stuff, like, and he's good at his job and da 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 da. But he's got this one hang up towards Spider-Man. And then what happens? You get to an era where it's just the bad writers, all they know how to do is J. Jonah James' character is 100% just a clown for Spider-Man. Like it's just, and that's just like, well, that's weak. Like I want the character to be admirable in other ways, and then see
yeah.
that one dark side and just be
So,
like, oh man, Jameson. Um,
like I said, I'm so happy in that comic though, like the prequel comic, the one shot by Christos Gage. Yeah, basically, she basically Mary Jane had a sit down interview with Jameson, and Jameson started just being a total dick, and she basically called him out and just like said like, "What happened to you? You used to be an honorable man, you know." Now you're just some grumpy old man with a podcast. It's like you used to be a hard hitting journalist. You used to go out there. Now, like instead of just basically trying to basically blame Spider-Man for everything, you actually used to go out there and go get the truth. Basically you're a cop, you're a sellout.
yeah,
So at the end of the issue, he goes to he goes to the guy who owns, I guess, like the Daily Beagle. He makes a deal there. He's like, dude, I want to buy the company back. And he's like, it's time that I get back to my roots. You know, so there was like actually a positive change from that.
well, that's
But
good. Too bad it's not
yeah,
actually continuity Marvel. So
no, 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 no.
I guess
Well,
it doesn't
that was the thing
matter.
too. That's the other thing I hated about the everything after One More Day. is that it was I think it was in Zdarsky's run, I think it was, but the whole thing where he's Jameson is now he became a podcast, a blogger.
Mhm.
That's what he did in the comic books. So where you had Glory Grant, who actually owned the Bugle, and she took it from being print to being an online newspaper.
Mhm.
She said like, print is dead. Yeah, it's I don't know, and like honestly, I know Breen says like every once in a while you have to change, you update, the modernize the characters. I disagree. Jameson should never know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. There's certain things that should always stay the same. You could have killed off. You could have killed off Aunt May. Let her stay dead. Didn't have to bring her back for Civil War. All the one more day bullshit. You could have kept Peter being as a substitute teacher. Whatever, or whatever, a working science teacher, and also being married to Mary Jane. You could have kept that. Didn't necessarily have to bring the kid in unless you really wanted to. But I mean, like,
I don't
there's
think I don't think that you
like,
can't change things. I get where you're going with that. Let me give you a different take. Most of the time, I would agree with you. However, I think you can make those changes if you have a way of transitioning that change to like hand off to somewhere else. For example, killing Alfred was a terrible idea for DC. Still, I don't. They still haven't rectified it. Like they still haven't figured. I think originally they thought that they needed to kill him off because Catwoman was going to get married and she would fill the Alfred role. Which I never thought that Batman and Catwoman should ever get married. I thought that was stupid, and they ended up not, which I applauded. But I agreed with that in concept. Like if you have someone other character fill that role. So if you had another character fill the Jameson role, you could potentially make it so that Jameson learns Peter Parker is Spider-Man and perhaps their relationship changes because of that. But then you have someone else kind of fill the role that J. Jonah Jameson used to hold in that story.
that's
Because I do believe that
that's
part of the story is important. Just like Aunt May. Aunt May
yeah.
can't die because it's a crucial part of what Spider-Man is and like why he keeps his identity secret and
Well,
everything. His fear about her, being jeopardized. You can't remove that from Spider-Man.
the problem is though that when they actually killed her off, it actually was working. Is that they decided to reboot it like not even like a couple of years later. Like like they're afraid to stick to anything, and like I heard like there's reports or interviews, I guess, like back in the day they're saying like that the people in charge of Spider-Man said they were upset that Peter Parker was married. Someone wanted Peter Parker to be a single 15-year-old kid.
Yep.
Forever Spider Boy, where Stan Lee said no. If I wanted to be Spider Boy, I would have called him Spider Man. I called him Spider Man because I wanted him to grow up. This
And
is
it
his life.
worked. I
Yeah.
normally agree with that too. Like I don't I thought trying to get Batman married is the dumbest thing DC. And I'm glad DC didn't do that, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man
But
pulled it off. Like
yeah,
Spider-Man, and probably because Stan Lee was in charge and Stan Lee
it's a
had a
it's a
vision.
different type of character though.
Not every character you can do that with. Um,
Batman, Batman, his whole life is like Bruce Wayne is the mask. Peter Parker is who he is. Spider Man is the mask. Just like with Superman. Superman is the mask. Clark Kent is who he is. Batman is the opposite of both those characters. Bruce Wayne is just a persona he uses just to further his ventures as Batman. Having him, if he got married to Catwoman, I wouldn't really hold his. Wouldn't be the same. If you want to be married to Catwoman, okay, Earth 2. They showed that they had Helena Wayne, but it ended up ending in disaster. Eventually, and it was basically meant for legacy characters. If you want to do legacy characters with Batman, you know, do it in a different Earth, Elseworld, because the main Earth, it's all about his crusade. And once
well,
you get family involved, it's the crusade becomes like redundant. Like
here's the thing.
that's one of the reasons I love the Batman Beyond cartoon. Though I'll just real quickly the Batman cartoon. This is before Damien. He literally makes more sense to have all the Robins basically kind of like get pissed off by Bruce so much, or they quit, get older, and grow out of it, and just have him point where he quits being Batman because he's too old until Terry takes over. But bringing in Damian as his son now, that fucks up the whole entire thing. If they wouldn't have brought in Damian, Batman Beyond would make more sense. But you pointed out so too, the fault now is that why would Damian take over? You know,
Well, yeah, you're a fan of Batman Beyond, and all that's just a problem of the fact that DC could never
stick to their guns.
they can never stick to their guns, right? Like, oh, we're gonna make the sidekick Robin. Oh, fans are tired of Robin. Okay, he'll grow up and he'll move on, and Batman will go back to being a lone Dark Knight. Oh, we've gone a while, but yeah, we kind of miss Robin. Let's bring that back. Okay, we'll bring it back. Oh yeah, fans don't like it with Robin. Okay, kill him off. Okay, cool. Oh look, people don't. Let's bring back Robin. And it's like, okay, now you've done it 3 or 4 times. All it does is now you've painted a picture of Batman as a loser who can never raise up a sidekick ward as a healthy human being, and he's this like terrible father figure, and now he's too old to be Batman. And so someone completely unrelated now has to pick up the mantle because all of his Robins hate him. And I'm just like, man, you like screwed up Batman by doing this. And you didn't even realize what you were doing, because the problem a lot of times is when you make these legacy characters and you do these type of stories, you're thinking too much in the moment. You're not thinking about how is this going to play out 20 years from now, right? You're like the story right now, and it's like, okay, that's great when you're just working on like a one movie thing, like this is why Christopher Nolan's Batman could work, because it was 3 movies and it's done. He didn't have to think about 20 years of storytelling or 50 years of storytelling or 80 years of storytelling. But in comics,
Nah, I want to
you need to think
dude. Can
that
we get
way
a
in
director?
comics. And what I'm saying is, going back to like the Aunt May thing or whatever changes you make in these characters, they can sound good and interesting for the moment, but you have to realize that every time you make these changes, you aren't simply getting something. You're getting something, but you're also losing something. And this is why I was so adamantly against when the whole Batman marriage fiasco. There were people who were pissed off that the marriage didn't happen. And I was one of the people, and I felt like I was in the minority at the time, where I was applauding. I was like, thank God DC dodged a bullet. Because Batman marrying Catwoman, sure, that takes the story in a new dimension, new direction, or whatever. It gives you something new, but it fundamentally takes other things away. And I don't want to sacrifice the things that I like that make me a fan of this character. And this is something that you're experiencing yourself as a Spider Man fan. Hey, you know what? One More Day gave us something new. It also took something away. And it took something that most Spider Man fans don't like. At least the ones that were fans during that era. There's people now that are like, screw MJ, but they never had MJ. Like, it's been so long that they became Spider Man fans where there was no MJ. So this is an issue, and that's where I have where I go with the whole legacy thing, and doing things, as I think of like, look, it's one thing to do this, but if I don't want to take away these other things, and it's not that I don't want the new things, I just recognize that there's like an equal trade. And a lot of times I think creators, they don't think about that equal trade. They're just thinking like, oh, I'm bringing something new to the table. Well, that's great, but you're killing off other things.
Honestly, I just want in the future to find out that he has a new army of Robins. They're all his illegitimate bastard children that that he sired. With
No,
all these women he's been sleeping
no,
with. He slept with Catwoman. He slept with Talia. He slept with Vicky Vale. He slept with.
no. Hasn't Batman been tarnished enough? Like, that's the problem. Like, too many people like
uh,
got their finger in the pot, and it's like
uh,
Damian. Honestly, I remember when Damian became a thing, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You gave Batman a son, and his son is
I
Robin, and his name is Damian." I was
uh,
like, "This is so." But when I read the
yeah.
Tomasi take on Damian, he instantly became my favorite Robin. I went from totally cringing and being like, first of all, I don't even like Robin, But second of all, I was like, Damian's the dumbest Robin. Like, what are you doing? To being like, no, he's the only valid Robin. Like, I look at the other Robins and all I see is Batman, the failure loser guy. But way Tomasi did Damian is he made Robin the failure loser, and he made Bruce Wayne into a real father figure who had a troubled son and was working to try to redeem this broken child. And all of a sudden it elevated Batman from, oh look, I'm just this rich guy who's got, you know,
Yeah.
problems because my family died, so I take these kids under my wing and I break their lives. And because and it reversed it. Tomasi's whole take with Damian and his whole thing on Batman was so like low key, like genius. And then when DC got rid of him, I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, DC?" And now, like they like, "Oh, Damian, we'll just give Damian his own series, and we'll bring back Tim." And now Tim's for some reason Robin,
Sir,
even though
sir,
he's a grown man, and now he's gay, and so Batman gets to like have his broken ward,
sir,
who's now.
you keep invoking that name, Tevye will show up and praise you.
Oh man.
Yeah, and as Asapi points out, I didn't catch if you said this, but did you say that Terry is unrelated to completely unrelated from Bruce? I don't know if you did or not, but it's what he's
I didn't say that. Did I say
uh,
that?
maybe if you did, I wasn't paying attention, but
I might
it's
have
like,
said that. I don't know
but
much about Terry, admittedly.
well, Terry is actually is Bruce's son in the future. His DNA, basically, Amanda Waller realized there's needs for there needs to be need for a Batman in the future. She even recognized the importance of Batman, so she took Bruce's DNA and overrode Terry's. Would have been
Oh, so
yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah. She created a Batman using
so
Terry's mom and Bruce's DNA. Gotta love Waller.
so he's basically the Ben Riley of DC.
Well, yeah, Bruce's DNA. She put Bruce's DNA, so it would overwrite the dad's DNA. So when it was conceived, it was Bruce's little guys, creating a son. Bruce had no idea about it though. It's something they've been. It was called the Batman Project. They've been working on it forever, for a while. So I guess. And yeah, Amanda Wawa. Yeah, probably the nicest thing she's ever done for Batman.
It's not very well. I can see what they're trying to do, and in some ways I kind of applaud them because I never liked Terry McGinnis in concept because I was like, really, Batman's got like 50 million Robins out there, and when he retires, we get this kid no one knows takes the mantle. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, Terry originally was for the animated series, so
I
basically it didn't connect anything. This was before Damian Wayne and any of the comic books had over.
sure. No, I get
So
it. But
they recognized Tim. They see the animated series only
but I'm
recognized
not
two
talking
Robins.
about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what happened in the comics and the way it ultimately became, and why it
No,
didn't work for me.
I
And
know. I'm just saying
what
how
I'm trying to
simplistic it
say, what
was.
I'm trying to say though, is I get those type of changes and say, well, what if he's not just some strange kid? What if he's actually like made with the DNA of Bruce Wayne?
Mhm.
And I go, okay, so that makes him not just some random person. That makes him a reason to be Batman Beyond, rather, you know what I'm saying? A reason why it's
Mhm.
not one of the Robins. And I'm like, there's a cleverness to that that I'm trying to recognize.
Yeah,
Um,
and
but
like I said, I love the fact that Batman Beyond simplified it. They did not recognize Jason Todd in that universe. Paul Dini left him out on purpose. So there only was Tim Drake, and before that was Dick Grayson Nightwing for the Batman series.
and again, this goes back to the problems with the comic books, right? Because people,
Yeah.
when people make changes like introducing Jason Todd or then eventually Tim Drake, like at the time it seems like no big deal, like, oh hey, it's great, but they're not considering the ramifications. I'm sure when they created Jason Todd that they weren't thinking like, oh, there's gonna be 3 more Robins after this.
But
They
Batman
at the
Beyond also
time
had
they
it.
were just saying hey, Dick Grayson's not the only Robin anymore. That's all they were thinking. Now we fast forward to today and we go, how many Robins since Jason Todd? Can't even count them all. Like, right? And so I'm pretty sure Damien's
Well,
not going to be the last Robin. So
I
it's
can
just one.
count them. We have Jason Todd.
I know I was being facetious. I know you can literally
Yeah,
count them, but
Carly. Then we got Stephanie. Who was a Robin for a while.
mm-hmm.
Helena, alternate universe Robin. But Damien, Tim. It's like there's just so many. He has so many Robins. He could just play baseball.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is at the time when you made Jason Todd, you were just thinking, hey, we don't have a Robin because old Robin grew up and became Nightwing. And now we
Mhm.
have a Robin again. Hey, problem solved, right? They weren't thinking about, hey, 25 years from now, there will be 3 new Robins because we can't stop ourselves. We're going to keep making new ones. They weren't thinking like that. So at the time, it's like, yeah, it seems like no big deal. And that's what I'm trying to say is like, they don't
I
use forethought. They just randomly go do things and they don't consider the ramifications. Like when Civil War, when Peter Parker revealed to the world who he was, it's like, did anyone think of the ramifications of what this means for Spider-Man?
Well,
Yes.
I think they did, and that was their way of getting rid of the marriage. I think they were already planning to get rid of the marriage at that point
Maybe.
because it's so hard for people who aren't in happy relationships to write a happy relationship. If you're a person that hates marriage, the idea of it, or just like hates the idea that the character is like is they want you think, oh, Peter Parker would be better if he's just a 15-year-old boy for the rest of his life and still be called Spider-Man for some reason.
I do like
Like
teenage Peter Parker. Like I think there's an appeal
sure
to
for younger
Spider-Man as that
for young
teenage.
for younger kids, sure.
Well, not even that. I just think the character really worked. That's how Stan Lee created the character. But at the same time, he also showed us that Peter Parker could grow up, he could get married, and we could have. And he navigated that minefield extremely well. This is why I advocate so strongly. I'm like, when they created Miles Morales should have been the 16-year-old kid, so you could go back to that identity of having this teenager being awkward at school, got these powers. You can still tell those stories. You can use Miles Morales as the vehicle for that story. And now you can have Peter Parker as the older, wiser, the kid who grew up. And you can have your cake and eat it too. But Marvel doesn't know how to do that because everyone in comics doesn't know how to think like an old school comics guy anymore. They just think of the now. They don't really give a shit about the actual legacy, which is why I think legacy. Part of the reason why legacy characters suck because no one considers what it takes to manage that.
Yeah. Like I said, I love the fact that I've always loved the Paul Dini verse for the animated universe, but the biggest problem though, the
Paul Dini
Batman
is just a
Beyond verse,
great writer, so that's why.
yes, and the biggest thing he's ever did to piss off Barbara and Dick fans, is having Barbara sleep with Bruce.
Yeah, that was
And and
that's
and,
so.
and Nightwing found out about it, and it's just from the cartoon series Batman
Yeah,
Beyond.
that's
She explains, we and a miscarriage, and Dick found out about it, and then ever since they haven't worked together, he quit, he left, and never came back. Dan Jurgens ran with that story and decided to fix it. Didn't retcon it, but he basically got the point where basically Barbara and Dick were on good terms. Dick Grayson, as he got older, he quit being Nightwing eventually and he ran for the mayor of Bloodhaven in his Batman Beyond series, which was was an interesting concept because he had a daughter, but he had his Dick's daughter is with somebody else. She ends up becoming uh, the Batwoman Beyond or Batgirl Beyond. Basically, it becomes a new Batgirl. There's a Batman and a Batgirl now.
yeah.
Which no, it actually I do like it because there is a Robin, there's a Batgirl, and there's a Batman now. It
Why
kept
does
the
there
trend.
need to be? This is my problem with legacy characters is this idea that this mantle needs to carry on. When you die, does someone
Like
else
what?
need to become RDV? Like, no, that was you. Why can't people just be them?
Honestly,
Like, I hate this idea of like,
I
I'm gonna be the new Batgirl. Why can't you just be something new?
no, no. The reason is, no, okay, so it's not because you're like, oh my god, I got to be the Batgirl. No, it's because Terry was missing. There was no person in there. Her dad had basically had been, showed her the cave, because he was reconciled with Bruce finally,
Mhm.
and she came across the costume, and she decided, she's a former combat veteran. She's decided, she's like, someone needs to basically do something, and she felt she heard she when she because her dad kept her in the dark. The fact that he was Nightwing, she was pissed about that. So she not only she did it also to kind of get back at him because he didn't want her to be a superhero and stuff, but she wanted to basically help out and find Terry. So
Nothing wrong
she
with
put
that.
on
I
a
don't have any problem with the character
so the
doing that.
so
What I have a problem
so
with is like
so
I'm going to be Batgirl.
so I love the fact that she wasn't written as a Gary Stu because Dan Jurgen does not write Mary Sue characters. So her character putting on the costume actually does augment your powers, gives you 20 times strength. No, that's the thing. She made mistakes. I was happy with this. Eventually, Bruce decided to train her, which further kind of put rifts. Like overall, though, she at the end she was going to quit, but Terry said, it's like
I
I
just
could use a
I just
partner.
hate this idea that like superheroes are becoming kind of like royalty, right? And so like when the king
It's not
dies,
royalty.
someone else gets made the new
What
king. Like it's like
you don't,
when Batman
but you don't
dies,
realize
someone
though.
else gets what coronated a coronation. That's it. Coronator is the new
So
Batman. It's like no,
no, but you
it's
don't realize though. She became the first Batwoman with a red wig that wasn't a lesbian.
she even had a red wig.
She even had the red wig. She added onto
It's,
it to
it's
hide her
like
identity.
I just don't. It sorry, it's never gonna work for me. This idea of people needing to identify
And
as someone else
as even
to
Black Cat said,
validate them.
it's a job title.
It's not a
Until
job title. Superheroes aren't
until you get the
jobs.
fact,
Captain America is
yes.
like the only one that sort of works that way because it was like a military creation, and Captain America just sort of owned it. But the it's like I can understand that, but no, I mean I hate that anyone else picks up the Superman title. No, there's Clark Kent who is Kal El. He's Superman. No one else is Superman. No one else ever will be Superman. You might have powers that are similar to
Well,
Superman. You might even be related to Superman, but you're not.
if
You
you
could be something else. You can be Ultimate Man. You can be Amazing Man. You can be just anything. Why do you need to identify yourself as this other person to validate? I cannot stand it. Like I said, it comes off to me like royalty. And once you get into the royal family, then you now inherit the throne when the next person dies, and it becomes this sort of
Ash,
elite classes thing, and that's what I see in comics today. Superheroes aren't heroes anymore. They're elitists. They are the they are the next class of people that looks down on the commoner. It's very much ancient Japan worked this way. Their society, the samurai class, thought that they were better than everyone else, but they also looked at themselves as virtuous because it was their job to take care of the lessers. So an honorable samurai would think like, and that's how these superheroes are in modern days very much are. We don't have the heroes like Peter Parker's like great power comes great responsibility. People just need to help. I've been given some power. I'm going to use it to help them. That's a noble thing, and I love that. Nowadays, we get people that are like, I'm better than everyone else. Look at me. I'm gonna take a selfie. I'm the new this or that. I'm
well,
stepping the role. Jane
I
Foster.
just
I'm the new Thor. Kate Bishop. I'm the new Hawkeye. She literally goes around, literally calling herself the best Hawkeye. Like
wait till next week. I'm gonna become Ash of Comics 2.0. I'm gonna call myself the best Ash.
Sorry, I went off on a rant, but I can't stand it. I was like, just make yourself your new. As much as I hate the Signal, praise Scott Snyder for not calling that kid another Robin. What I love about the Signal is that dude's got enough of his own self-esteem that he doesn't have to try to wear the shoes of someone else to justify who he is. Like, I think the
Praise Gene
Signal.
Tinian for giving us Clown Hunter, the
Sure,
best new
Clown
character
Hunter.
ever.
I
That's
I'll give Clown Hunter
you
a fair shot.
and Clown Hunter, Ghostmaker,
Ghostmaker,
Peacemaker,
I'll give him a fair shot.
all these
The characters
different.
may not succeed. Stan Lee was famous for saying, for every 100 characters I throw at the wall, only one sticks. Sometimes you got to do that, but he always threw new characters. He didn't go back to the well and make Spider-Man, another Spider-Man. I'll make another Spider-Man character. No, he always tried something new and made new characters. And this idea now, it's so like in in a figurative sense, it's so incestuous. DC's like the worst at it, but Marvel's trying to get in on it. Like,
As Austin pointed out, they made characters with similar names and all that stuff. Just the fact that is for copyright reasons. For
sure,
Superman,
She-Hulk
Supergirl,
is a copyright person. Supergirl
yeah,
is a copyright reason. I totally
a lot of them.
I get that, but when you're on your like fifth Supergirl, right? Like, is it copyright
There
reasons
has
anymore?
there has
No,
that ironically there hasn't been more than one Supergirl.
that's not true.
Where's the legacy?
No, there's just multiple Supergirls. Clara
Multiverse,
Danvers
yes.
isn't the only Supergirl.
Who is the other Supergirl in the current universe?
Who's the dark-haired Supergirl that they're using in
In
the Flash movie?
you mean from a
I'm sorry, you
dream
broke up.
universe? Does Bendis had like a character where it was part of the I think it was and even like Greg was wrong. I think it was Where the Superman or something like that where she was all part of a dream, a what if. She's not a legit like kind of canon character, and that's also a multi. She's also on an alternate Earth timeline too.
Wasn't also Power Girl Supergirl at one point?
Power Girl is Earth 2.
Right.
She's Kara grown up. She calls herself Power
Wasn't
Girl.
she Supergirl at one point?
She is Supergirl from Earth 2.
Right.
Yeah. So
Anyways,
she's not. She said
Supergirl's not the best example. There hasn't been quite as many like say Flash or Superman or Superboy
Flash
or Wonder Woman.
Flash just wants to.
Literally, Tom King is they're about to reboot. They're about to reboot Wonder Woman to #1 after they get their 800 issue out, and then they're going back to #1. Tom King already in the first issue is introducing a new Wonder Woman. So we just got
introducing her daughter.
We just got the stupid. What's her name from Brazil?
Yara Flor-El was in the future state. There was supposed to be she's supposed to be a future version, but they decided to like, oh, you know what? She's so diverse. Let's keep her in. Let's bring it to the main continuity, which doesn't make sense because she was from the future.
We literally just got a new Wonder Woman 2 years ago, and now Tom King's bringing another Wonder Woman, who's also a future version. Except it's stupid.
Sorry.
DC cannot help themselves, right? We had John Kent.
The chat is a better
Superboy. John Kent was Superboy. Then he grew up, and now he's Superman. And so, what do we need? We need 2 more super kids. So they introduced them more. How many freaking? We can't even keep track of how many super people there are anymore.
I'm not saying that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
I really think DC's trying to repopulate Kandor just by creating a bunch of new Kryptonians.
Well, the thing is that I think it was Silver Age, but they already have everyone, all the super people in Kandor. They just had to restore them to a normal size, and then actually they did for a while. I think they did. Was it Argo City? They restored to like normal size, and because Brainiac could save them. But yeah. Like I said, it is. if Yara Fleur wasn't like I said, that's the whole DC thing. I don't blame Tom King for creating a new one. Is that DC decided they didn't care for Yara Fleur, even though Joelle Jones, the woman who created it, actually was going to legitimately going to do a good thing with her. DC decided to we're going to use her as a token, a virtue signal, so she gets scrapped.
Already
Guess
had multiple Wonder Women.
we
We
only had two
already
more out
had
of that.
Wonder Woman when Wonder Woman herself can barely sell a comic book. We don't need a fourth Wonder Woman.
So she's not a fourth Wonder Woman.
If you
Basically,
take the
she's a
Wonder
few.
Girls that should be inheriting the title ahead
Yes,
of
but
her,
listen to me before you go angry, though.
I'm not
This is
angry.
a
I'm
few.
just
This is supposed to be 20 years or whatever into the future. This
huh?
is supposed to be the daughter of
She's a
her.
Terry
Of,
McGinnis. I get it. She's
yeah,
she's a Terry McGinnis,
and
and it makes you wonder. Wait a second,
respect
where's Donna Troy? How come she's not Wonder Woman?
the Donna
Where's
Troy. Well,
where's what's her
here's
name? The blonde hair
I'm gonna
girl.
tell you right. I'm gonna tell you right now. Donna Troy. If they follow through with this, Jeremy Adams has brought back Donna Troy's son to life. So maybe she's being a mother. Maybe she retired.
Of course you can write
How
reasons like
she
that. You could just say
yeah
she's dead. My point from a fandom though
yeah
is like you already have characters in the lineup. Why are you adding
true.
another one?
Why did we bring Cassie in if we already have Donna Troy? Kill off
Exactly.
Cassie.
I'm 100%. That's
That's
going
like you
back to the Jason
bastards.
Todd thing, right? When you created Donna Troy, it was like, okay, we got Wonder Woman, now we got Donna. Okay, no Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, whatever. They didn't then wait, why are you creating Cassie? Oh, okay. Wait, now you're creating Yara Flor. What the hell? 2 years later, now we're giving Wonder Woman a daughter who's also apparently going to be Wonder Woman. This doesn't even count all the myriad of Amazons that are from Themyscira that are essentially all Wonder Women themselves. Because you got Artemis running around. I think that's her name. She's essentially another Wonder Woman, but they don't call her
Artemis.
that.
Well, no, Artemis is actually she's just another Amazonian.
Right. But essentially it's it's essentially the same. I accept her though because she doesn't
My
run around calling herself Wonder Woman.
like I said, if they
She
did
actually operates different than Wonder Woman, so she feels like a different character.
my thing is with a good writer, you can do a Wonder Woman Beyond series if you really wanted to. But it said like chances are they give it probably the Becky Cloonan or like Tom King. Like Tom King is just doing it one shot. She's not gonna be it's not there's not gonna be a new ongoing with this Trinity whatever. Uh so
It's not one
he's
shot.
just doing
Tom King is doing
so
an
basically
ongoing series. He's rebooting Wonder Woman.
All Tom King is doing is creating a character to get more royalties. That's
Perhaps.
same thing Dan Slott. Dan Slott created Annie so he could get
Perhaps.
royalties.
The
Yeah.
point though
There you
is
go.
once you create the character, they're
I
there.
know.
And there will be people that like the character. No matter how bad or stupid the character is, there will
Yeah,
be
I
people
know.
that latch
I
onto
I
it.
I
And
hear you.
then 10 years from now, if the character's been retired or whatever, people are going to be like, what about this character? And you're going to get some editors at
There's
DC that
people
be like, well, let's reboot these
there's
characters and blah, blah. They
there's
don't go
people
away.
there's people who like Super Sons. I say kill off Jonathan and Damien. Screw them.
At this point, I
We
would
don't need.
agree. Like, but it's not because they didn't have potential. It's because they kind of mucked it all up.
Yeah.
But you
Like
know
I
what?
said,
I
so
when Jonathan
here's my
Kent
thing.
no when Jonathan Kent came into being, Connor was long gone.
The
And
yeah, so
John worked exceptionally well. And then DC did what DC always does, and they can't stick to their guns. They're like, you know what? Remember that character in the 90s that was so popular? Connor Kent? Let's bring him back. Because they can't leave anyone dead. And that's why there's untold flashes in DC's universe, because none of them can stay dead. Not even Jay Garrick. Like they just bring them all back no matter what. So now we've got two handicapped diversity hire flashes that are in the universe. And right now they may not be being used that much, but now they're there and they can't go
you're
away.
you're so vile and hatred towards these handicap flashes, really. Jeez.
Well, it's only because they have dark skin.
It's because they're handicapped, that's why.
It's just
uh like I said, introducing Trinity, they could have Jonathan Kent be in a future Justice League Beyond with this Trinity and also with Terry. It'd be kind of cool. But
Who do you think's her father?
honestly, I think she just went to a sperm bank. No, seriously. I would hope it's Troy. A lot of people are hoping it's Troy. Even
Troy.
even the weirdos on Twitter, they're like, "I hope it's Troy. I hope it's Troy." Or Steve Trevor, not Troy, but Steve Trevor. I hope it's Steve
Oh, I was
Trevor.
like, who's Troy?
I, I don't know. Some kind of guy. Troya. No.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
it's Batman.
And also, even like his right, Connor was still around when John was around.
Where was Connor?
Connor was a
wasn't still
different
around.
Connor, not the main Connor.
Where? Who? Connor wasn't around.
That's Evil Black Cat.
Show me where New 52 Connor was.
He wasn't there.
Where?
He had the red suit. Yeah, he was in there. He had telekinesis powers.
Connor Kent.
So he broke up from Cadmus Labs. He was in the Teen Titans books. They had a whole crossover. Gen 13. That was my favorite version of Connor.
New 52.
New 52. He had the red and black costume.
Okay, Evil Black Cat said Connor was still there when John was around. Bendis just said that the Connor was a different Connor and not the main Connor. Okay, now I'm really confused. So Bendis's Connor is Connor a second Connor?
Remember Connor's a clone. So who knows? I don't know. New 52 boy was Jonathan Lane Kent.
Yeah.
John Lincoln.
I didn't think that was Connor Kent. The Connor Kent Bendis brought was the Connor from the 90s.
He was made in Cadmus. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He was made in Cadmus, the New 52.
Because New 52 can't be, because New 52 was all new. Like, that's the universe created by Dr. Manhattan. That's the whole point. Like, there's the whole Flashpoint and everything. All the characters in New 52 aren't from the previous, except for Superman. Well, except for the second Superman. And after Superman dies, original Superman takes his place. Probably the best thing about New 52 was that story, and it gave us John Kent. But yeah, I don't remember Connor Kent being there. I surely don't remember Connor Kent in Rebirth until Bendis came along and decided, Bendis everything up. But I don't blame Bendis too much. I actually just blame the DC editors and publishers that just let that happen and was like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about. The one he did retcon it. Yeah, the one I'm talking about is Bendis retconned it and replaced it with the '90s Connor. The New 52 with they had the black and he had the red and he had telekinesis. Yeah, he was in it was called Superboy was the name of the title he had. They were New 52. Volume 4, Blood and Steel.
Well, anyways, I just, like I said, my whole point on that was just when you don't think about the ramifications down the road, it just starts piling up, and before you know it, 20 years, 30 years have gone by, and you've got this gigantic mess. And this is why DC has to reboot their universe every 5 years. Nowadays, it's like every 2 years because it's just a mess. And they go, "Oh, it's a mess. Let's reboot it." And then 2 years down the road, their stupid short-term memory is like, "Oh, it's just all these characters are missing. Let's bring them all back." It's like, do you not remember why you rebooted 2 years ago? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so Tim is right. They did call him Jonathan Lane Kent. He's a clone.
That's fine.
He's a
It's
clone of Superman and Lewis's child, Jonathan Lane Kent. So he's a clone of their kid.
right. So, but your point was there was another Superboy. So
Yeah.
you and I were slightly not saying the same thing, but kind of the same thing. I was saying there was no Connor Kent. You were saying there was another Superboy. Whatever.
So they must have retconned it because I don't remember him calling Jonathan Lane Kent in the actual that. I think Bendis retconned it.
Yeah, Bendis's Superboy was different because it was his introduction to the universe, and like
Yeah.
the Titans didn't even know he was alive. Like they found him on Gemworld, and he was married, and they were like, "What the hell are you doing? Like what?"
Yeah. Because Scott Lobdell was writing him back in the day.
Austin says, "When in doubt, make them a clone." Evil Black Cat says 17 Robins for the win. Wasn't there a story where like there was like a whole army of Robins? I've seen this like comic where there's just like a gang of Robins. I forget what like is it called? Is it called Robin War?
Robin War.
I think that's what it's called. It was like a mini series, and there was this like a gang of Robins. Like people were taking up the mantle of Robin. It's kind of like what Zdarsky did with his Daredevil. Remember when like the whole Hell's Kitchen, like the populace, like they all pretended to be Daredevil. I haven't read it, so I'm vague on it, but I seem to remember seeing a book like that. And I like Frank Miller. Frank Miller likes to joke about it a lot when he talks about Robins. He's just like Batman just sends in like legions of Robins to go do stuff. He's like, you just got so many, just like can just let him die and just.
Don't you remember? That was the Dark Knight Returns.
We Are Robin says to heal him. Yes, We Are Robin. That's what it's called, and Robin War. Yeah.
So I was trying to say before we were talking about the Christopher Nolan stuff movies. I would have loved them to come back to the trilogy, one more movie, but it's like years in the future, and we get his version of the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
And yeah, and having old man
Christian Bale. I also wouldn't be opposed to having years in the future story and doing his version of Batman Beyond. Because they kind of introduced that character who was like a pseudo Robin character, but not really. Do you remember?
I remember it.
And they could
easily Robin, but it's so weird because he was a detective and so was Dick Grayson, but they didn't call him Dick Grayson or something else. I was like, are you guys have like copyright issues? You can't call him Dick Grayson.
Like, well, I don't think
everything but Dick Grayson. He's a copy.
I don't think Nolan wanted to do Dick Grayson, and I don't think I get the impression that he might not have been satisfied with the way Robin was in the comics. If you notice, like what Nolan did with his Batman movies, and the critics of these films, there's a lot of fans that don't really like the Nolan Batman movies because of that. He didn't stick with the canon. Like he modified things quite heavily. And like one of the big things is Bane's part of the League of Shadows. That's not at all comic accurate, the fact that Ra's al Ghul trained Batman, like that's not comic accurate. He kind of did his own take for sure. And that character that I forget the name of that actor that plays I just call him the Robin character because it's clear that it's inspired by Robin, but also it's not Robin. But I think that character could make a very good Batman Beyond because I like that Nolan never says this is Robin because it wouldn't have worked because Batman was already gone when he kind of got the keys to the house, type of thing. So he's much more of a Batman, like a successor Batman than a Robin character. So even though he's not Terry McGinnis, in essence, he could still be a Batman Beyond character.
But it would be a really weak character because the fact he has no one there to train him to show him how to do things. He doesn't have Bruce there to train him.
Bruce is still alive. Remember, you just said it yourself. Like do a Dark Knight Returns, which I'm not against. I'm not saying your idea is bad. I'm saying alternatively, another
There'd be no
potential
Batman until
idea.
there'd be no Bruce till Batman comes back,
That's what I'm
or Batman until
saying.
Bruce comes
No,
back.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. Instead of Dark Knight Returns to be the Frank Miller story, Dark Knight Returns to train new Batman. I'm not trying to say my idea is better. I'm just saying it's an alternate potential story idea. Jorson Gordon-Levitt. Thank you to Helam. Helam should be like my brain.
And French Stewart as Alfred.
That's good. Or Batman gets 20 new Robins to see who survives an invasion. Yeah, I would love to see Court of Owls done in live action. I think Court of Owls is
They
probably
tried
one.
to in the Gotham show, didn't really do so well. Now,
That's the
but don't worry
Gotham.
though. But don't worry though. You're going to get a Court of Owls. Just go watch Gotham Knights.
No. So I don't want to see Court of Owls done in a story that doesn't have Batman, which is Gotham Knights and Gotham. Like those are
If
two
Gotham, can you imagine?
Batman world stories that don't feature Batman.
Can you imagine if Gotham Knights reveals at the end of all this that actually the person who died wasn't Batman? It wasn't Bruce? That Bruce is alive this whole entire time?
I don't know. I just totally skip Gotham Knights.
But,
I might play it if
but
it ever comes to Game Pass, but other than that,
like I said, as far as Gotham Knights, the show, I want it to be like Baywatch Nights.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't know what to
then,
say about that. But
They're lifeguards at Gotham Harbor on the beach, and they solve crimes.
oh my goodness.
And Batman's Mitch Buchanan kind of character.
We did miss out on the opportunity of having David Hasselhoff as Batman.
Right?
That's sadly one thing you won't get.
And his car talks to him, and it's Kevin Conroy. Yeah, no, I would totally dig to see Nolan come back and do like a retired. I don't know. See, as much as I love Dark Knight Returns, think it's one of the greatest comics ever written. I'm not sure Dark Knight Returns can ever be adapted correctly because it's very much a product of its time, and it was the animated movie. The animated movie was pretty good.
I mean, like I said, I love it, but it's a product of like the Reaganomics era. It's very much a story that came from the 80s. And I'm just not so sure that plays well today.
Well, yeah,
the same thing happened with Watchmen, right? Watchmen was also very much a product of, and maybe times will change. Like maybe we will get like Trump back, because the 80s was very much like time like we are today. There was very much a schism in the country and that's why kind of Reagan got elected, because the Democrats had been just destroying the country, at least from the perception of the day. I mean, Vietnam was just horrendous and everyone hated that. Gas prices through the roof, rampant runaway inflation. Like times were really bad in the 70s. And that's kind of what helped Reagan get elected. I mean, this is the same type of thing we're in today of why Trump might get elected again, is because people are just so fed up with what the Democrats are doing to the country. But even still, you look at what happened during those 4 years of Trump, that's what the whole 80s was like. The whole 80s was like that. Even though we were prosperous, everything was great, and you didn't have to wait in line to get gas and have gas vouchers, and inflation went just plummeted and you could afford to buy things and everyone was happy. The Democrat left just thought Reagan was the second coming of Satan. Satan, like Hitler. I'm mixing my metaphors again. Like they just could not accept it. And they, to this day, they paint Reagan, well, except now that there's Trump. Before that, they just painted Reagan as like the most evil thing President America's ever had. It's just this distortion of the truth because they were so triggered and what have you. And Dark Knight Returns, you can kind of see that. Watchmen even more so because Alan Moore is a total leftist. Frank Miller is like more of like a centric leftist. So his books aren't super political, but they reflect what was around probably in his purview, which he's surrounded by the art community. He's an artist working at Marvel. He's surrounded by people that have these views. And so his comic reflected a culture that his surroundings were. And that's how people thought of the world, like that the United States was going to end because of Reaganomics. Like nothing could have been further from the truth, but art reflected differently. So I just, like I said, I don't think it would play the same unless we went back to that mentality. Then maybe it would work again.
We'll just flip it, and make it a very liberal, very woke.
No, you can't do that. Well, I mean, it kind of was liberal because it wasn't a positive Reaganomics thing. Like it was if you remember Dark Knight Returns, it's like
Yeah.
America had fallen because of Reaganomics. Like it was a bad place. It was kind of like this is a prediction of where we're going in the future. So there was a very bleak, nihilistic outlook of the future.
Well, Reagan didn't, like I said, in the movie, animated movie, is I'm pretty sure about in the comics too, they painted Reagan as being like Batman. He's making ways for us. We don't like this. He's embarrassing us. So sending in the big guy.
Yep.
Superman is like
yeah, and Superman becomes essentially a stool pigeon for the Fuhrer, who's Reagan, and it's kind of silly, but again, Frank Miller was able to tackle it in a very moderate way, because he wasn't a complete leftoid loony, but he still lived in a world where that's how everyone he knew probably saw the world. So he was just kind of painting a picture of what he saw. Alan Moore, on the other hand, inserted his nihilistic worldview into the books. He very much, hates the right, and so I believe Watchmen, if I remember correctly, uses Nixon, not Reagan. But again, same thing. Nixon was the Reagan before Reagan. Every time that there's a powerful conservative in office, they just become the devil incarnate. So first it was Nixon, then it was Reagan, and now it's Trump. And if DeSantis gets elected, this is funny. Like I hear people when they talk to me, not to get too political, people are like, "Oh, we can't have Trump again. We should vote DeSantis because, DeSantis isn't hated like Trump." And it's like Trump was only hated after he got elected. The left loved Donald Trump before he got elected. If you think like getting DeSantis is better than Trump because Trump will be so hated and can't get anything done, that's only because DeSantis isn't president yet. Mark my words, if he becomes president, he will become persona non grata.
Well, the other thing is that they like Trump's just a bully. He insults people, just talks down to people, and like DeSantis is a nice guy. It's like, yeah, you want a nice guy, he's just gonna be a rhino probably. Or
right. If you ever have
George Bush,
if you ever have a Republican president in office and the Democrats are okay with it, you better worry. Like that's when you should be like, oh, something's wrong here.
Like George Bush Jr. Yeah, was they weren't feared by him.
Right.
It turned out the fact playing with them.
Yeah. We look back now. It's like, hey, look, Bush and Biden are like best friends. Like, come on. Yeah, that's
Obama,
why George Bush
and
Obama like that. It's because they didn't have a problem with George Bush because George Bush was on the same side. If the Democrats hate the Republican, that's when you go, oh, this is probably a good Republican.
If I lived in Florida, I would hate the fact that DeSantis is trying to leave me.
Yep, I would hate
that too. Because it opens up a spot for a Democrat to come over and sweep over and take over the swing state.
Yep.
And all that work that he done, it will be all taken back, and Disney will be back in power over there.
If I was a Floridian, I would vote against DeSantis.
Because honestly,
not for governor, but for president.
Yeah, Trump has the money. He doesn't have anybody telling him what to do because he's not taking donations.
Yep.
They don't. They don't even. As his son said, Junior said, we don't even ask for donations.
Yep.
We don't,
Yep.
because
And
you're
that's what,
beholden
dude,
to.
that's why
You're
the left,
beholden. Yeah.
that's why they hate him so much, because they can't control him. Everyone
Yep.
else can be controlled. And the fact that I'm
Now,
seeing,
Reagan.
Democrats trying to promote DeSantis really worries me. Like
Yeah,
that's a
Reagan.
huge
I
red
mean,
flag.
you look at Reagan. Reagan was able to get in office, and then they hate him because of his policies. And then by the second term, the Democrats could control. He couldn't do anything. All he could do was veto. But it's like maybe DeSantis could be like Reagan. We don't know.
They literally tried to kill
But
Reagan.
yeah, yeah.
President Reagan was the last president that the Democrats tried to kill.
So like I said, I don't know what's in DeSantis' heart. I don't know who he is, but it's just saying take a grain of salt. Imagine the best way to control people is to put somebody in there that you think that'd be better than the guy that they don't like. DeSantis. DeSantis, he's a good fit. He's been doing well for Florida. All this good stuff. So everybody loves him. Good PR guy. He gets in the office. He becomes basically a wet noodle that they can control because he's part of their thing. I
Yeah,
scratch your back, you scratch my back. They can't do that with Trump.
he's controlled opposition. Like he'll do
Yeah.
things against the Democrats. Like he's shown in Florida that he'll do certain things. But when it comes like to the world stage, I don't see him. I see him doing things like, okay, we'll cut some taxes. We'll cut some wasteful things here. We'll give people back some of their rights. He'll do some of the things that'll make conservatives happy, but he's not going to go all the way. It's the classic Democrats move things two steps backwards, and then you get this moderate play ball Republican that's allowed to win, and he moves it
Mm-hmm.
one step forward. So we're only a net one step backward. And then eventually, by the end of his term, he's hated and go, oh, we all hate him. Let's get a Democrat back in office, and we'll move him two steps back again. And then everyone will realize, oh my God, this is horrible. We got to put a Republican back. And then they do, and they move one step forward because it's always some weak, spineless, you know, like the two eras of Bushes. We had Bushes 2 times in a row. Unbelievable. Um, but, like there hasn't been a Republican that's actually done anything,
Bush, Clinton,
truly
Bush,
done something since
Obama.
Reagan until Trump. Like, and we can't afford another, like you just said it perfectly, a wet noodle. And Ron DeSantis is doing excellent in Florida. Stay there. The fact that Ron DeSantis is trying to prevent Trump from winning tells me he's my enemy. I don't care how amazing you are in Florida, Ron. If I was a Floridian, I would want you as my governor 100%. You're amazing. But you are my enemy when it comes to the federal government. You are trying to stop the only person who's shown any real credibility that for the current moment. Now I'm a big Rand Paul guy. I didn't want to vote. I did vote, but I didn't want to vote for Trump in 2016. I was a huge Rand Paul supporter, but once he got ousted, I was kind of forced. I was like, Hillary can't win. I voted for Trump. But now,
I,
even now, I won't vote for Rand Paul because Trump's not the guy who's a perfect president. He's not, but he's the guy we need at the moment. He's the only person that's going to go in and fire people. He's the only person that's going to go and clean. They have attacked him personally. They're trying to send him to jail. He's got all the motives in the world to really clean house. No one else is going to go in and have that kind of inspiration and realize that it's do or die. Trump is fighting a war. He's fighting for his life right now, right? If he gets to be president, he can't afford to be like, I'll just compromise because these people want his head. So he really has to clean house. And he says he wants to do it. And I'm like, he's the only chance. Now, after he does that, 4 years, we have Trump. If DeSantis hadn't decided to run against him, I would have been happy to be like, DeSantis, come on,
like
2028, come on. But you already showed your colors that you don't want us to have Trump. You don't want him to fix our government. That means you're an enemy to me because my government should work for me. And you decided it's more important for you to seek power than it is to fix this country. And so, whatever, stay in Florida, be good for Floridans. Everyone who's in Florida, be happy you don't have Gavin Newsom like I do. But I'm never. Trump is the only Republican president I've ever voted for in my life. I was too young to vote for Reagan. Um, and he's very likely to probably be the only Republican I ever will vote for, based on what I
You know,
see in this stupid
you,
party.
you know, it'd be great though. If DeSantis would have waited till 2028, after Trump, if Trump wins, he gets his office, and DeSantis runs for president, Trump runs for governor of Florida. you know, because he can't. Yeah,
I don't think that Ron is a fake conservative, but I do
no,
think that he is a compromised conservative, and I think he's a little wishy-washy conservative, and I do think that he will sacrifice a play. He'll prioritize his power over his policy. In Florida, he's got a good situation where he has a 100% legislative body of conservatives. There are no Democrats. It's not even they have majority. They have 100%. They literally control Florida. So he's doing wonders, and it's great. When you get to the big stage, historically, when you're president of the United States, whatever party holds a presidency, historically the other party holds Congress. So it's when they elect a, let's say hypothetically they elect DeSantis president, then almost certainly House and the Congress, House and Senate will go to the Democrats. If not the first 2 years, the next 2 years. And then he's fighting against that. And that's why it's eternal compromise. And normally that's a really good when our country is working right, that's really good. Our government is designed to be a traffic jam. It's designed to not work efficiently in sort of in the form of legislating. And we want that. We don't want just nilly-willy passing laws left and right, doing all this sort of like it's supposed to be difficult. But the problem is, so all these things that DeSantis is showing and doing in Florida, he won't be able to do. He'll have to compromise. Now,
Nigeria.
now with Trump, I don't even care. I'm not even looking towards passing bills, doing this. What I'm looking forward to is disband the FBI. Let's actually put some of these corrupt traitor senators like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi's out now, but like let's investigate them and criminally prosecute. That's what I'm seeing. I'm looking for a guy who's not going to pass bills and do all these
I
things.
guess.
Clean house. So, anyway, sorry.
I guess that I'm just putting. I mean, I guess that it is really weird that he runs it up. But yeah, every year, every presidential election, there are other Republicans that run against other.
Sure.
So that's the pro-choice. Now, like I said, I do agree. Santa should have waited to 2028. Who knows? Maybe he'll drop out early because he realized that nobody wants him in the polls. The polls are right now in favor of Trump.
What I wanted to see though, I wanted to see him say, you know what? I am not running in 2024 because Trump is my guy. And I am not going to try to pull away from his candidacy. I am going to throw my support in the ring for
Uh,
him. And I'm going to continue to lead Florida to the best of my abilities. And that's where, and I would have been like, amen,
well,
Ron. And in 2028, if he comes into the circle, at that point I go, Ron was on my side in 2024, so now I'm going to be on his side in 2028. But instead, he's decided I want power, screw Trump, and I go, now screw you, Ron. I'm never going to vote for you. I will vote for a Democrat before I vote for Ron DeSantis, and it's not because I don't think he's conservative. He's doing a bad job in Florida. Like it's showing me that he's prioritizing his own position and power over the people of the United States. And the job of the president is to serve the people. I do not want another power grabber. We already had two Bushes do that, and Obama, and then and Clinton and his wife tried to do that. Like we need to get these power mongers out of office, and we need people that are actually going to work
like I
for the
said, it
people.
comes down to Biden and DeSantis. I'm not voting either way. To me, there's two sides of the same coin.
Well, I don't.
So that it's a double side. It's a double. It's two heads.
Yeah, I mean, he's no Biden. That's too far. But
No, no,
everyone,
no.
this is not a political show. I'm only even talking this because it's at the end of the hour and we're
I,
wrapping
I
this up.
I will say this though. I hate how it's like if you say you're not doing DeSantis, there are people who really will call you out and say like it's like no, it's like you're wrong. It's time for DeSantis. It's like dude, vote who you want to vote. That's all I'm gonna say. If you like DeSantis, vote for DeSantis. If you like Trump, vote for Trump. If you don't want to vote, don't vote.
Of course,
Do what you want to do,
everyone do what you want to do. Like I
but
absolutely don't feel like
don't chastise, yeah, someone else because they're gonna vote for someone else.
no,
Because
no, I'm not
Ash doesn't like
chastising.
DeSantis. No, no, no,
I'm
I know you're not. I know. I was just saying because now they heard that say that you don't like DeSantis. Do not do. There were people who be like, "Well, Ash is like DeSantis. He likes Trump." It's like, well,
hmm?
you know, he's brainwashed. He doesn't need the, you know. It's like I said, don't let anybody else pressure you into
No,
basically
who I
like,
like is Rand Paul.
yeah, yeah.
We are not in an ideal world anymore. We are in clown world. And in clown world, we
Mm.
need a crazy guy like Trump who's a maverick, who has
What?
nothing to lose, who's not bought and paid for
So
to do that. That's all I'm saying. Like I get
you
it.
know,
He's
oh my
not the, if you
gosh,
don't like him, I totally get it. But just consider where we are. I want to get back to a world where we can elect intelligent, thoughtful, presidential people. But we're not in that world right now. We're in a war for
here
this country, and
here's my dream scenario. Is that the Republicans don't like Trump either because they're moderates. Will
mhm.
like rig it so that DeSantis wins, and then Trump runs as a third party and then wins.
If he runs as a third party, it'd be crazy if he. I mean, Clinton did, or sorry, Lincoln did it. That was
he
pretty.
does what Ross he does what Ross Perot can't do.
Lincoln was the last person to do that. I would be amazed. I don't think Trump can do that. I think Trump running third party just gives it to the Democrats. But like I said, if if that happens, I blame Ron DeSantis. So that's just another example of Ron DeSantis not looking out for this country, and he handed it to the Democrats because he decided his power meant more than the people of this country.
I don't know. I don't know. Trump got 81 million votes last time. Can you imagine he does that again, but as a third party?
He won't, because there are people who are Democrat, and there are people who are like they're DeSantis people. There are people that were like, oh, if DeSantis runs, I mean, I'll vote for Trump if he's there. I've talked to quite a few Republicans who are like, I'll vote for Trump because yes, I think what he's doing is good. But if DeSantis runs, I'm voting for him actually. And I'm like, oh God. And so what I'm doing right now is I I'm not trying to disrespect anyone who has different opinion. What I'm trying to be is persuasive and explain to you why I feel the way that I
And
do.
no one ever said you were.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just explaining
Only,
myself. So
only if they're talking about legacy presidents.
legacy presidents. Yeah, what DeSantis needs to do is just call himself New Reagan. Um, no, um, yeah, like, I don't like where we are. I wish, like I said, I never even wanted to vote for Trump. I've never voted for a Republican before. I would have voted for Reagan. I was too young, but I haven't liked Democrat or Republicans since. I voted for uh, libertarians. I did actually. I was a delegate for Ron Paul in 2012. So in 2012, I would have voted for Ron Paul, but the GOP defrauded him out of the election. And then they put in Mitt Romney, and I said, "F you, GOP! You guys are a bunch of corrupt scumbags." And I've seen you now, what you've done, and so yeah. And I just never thought I would vote for a Republican after that. And then, like I said, the only reason I voted for Trump is because Hillary was that bad, and then Trump surprised me. And the more that they hated him, the more that they lied about him, the more I realized he's actually not the things that I thought. Like when my enemy has to lie about the guy that I didn't think was that good, like if you shouldn't have to lie. I don't have to lie about Biden. I can just tell the truth. I don't have to make up shit about him. Like when your enemy's bad, you just can tell the truth about him. But when everything you say is a lie, it's because you don't have the truth. And so they did stupid stuff about like the P tapes that never exist. Like it was a Russian plant. 7 years of Russia collusion that we now know confirmed was falsified. We now know for sure confirmed the FBI was in on it. We now know that the highest levels of government were in on this. We are not in a position where we can afford to just like, let's get a guy like Ron DeSantis in who's not going to do shit. We need someone who's going to go in and clean house. When the FBI is working against the people of this country, I'm telling you, we're one step away from the Gestapo. If you haven't studied history to see where we are, anyway, I don't want to get hyperbolic, but we're in a bad place. So, um, anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for listening and entertaining me. I hope I didn't offend anyone. That wasn't my goal. Um,
I'm offended on behalf of all Americans here.
so, hopefully, God willing, we'll go to a good place. That's where my heart is right now. Yeah, I think God's got a plan, and we can't thwart it. So I'm just gonna try to love my brothers and work on myself. And there we go. You got anything you want to say for closing?
Uh, yeah, read good books and remember, Geeky Puppet Show, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, boy.
Be there or don't, because I'll be there by myself.
Oh, you're gonna be there by yourself? I can't
Yeah,
make it tomorrow either.
Zach's on his birthday binge week. He's getting drunk every single night until his birthday.
Jeez. We need
Yeah,
that.
I know that
We,
rebel.
we need that Jesus intervention for Zach.
He's
All
going
right.
to meet Jesus soon if he's drinking.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your opinions with us and your
There's win.
comics and your movies and everything else we talked about tonight. I hope to see you again next week. And for me and the real DV, good night.